Okay, it says I'm live. I don't know if I am. Hey, gun people! Am I live? Looks like already people here. Max, shit, Max is already waiting to get on here, and yeah, damn. They have a peanut butter cracker. Always remember to leave a like on the video. Yeah, thanks. So it says I'm live, but nobody's like commented to say hello. So I wonder if I'm live. It says 51 people are here, and I've been, here we go. It just moved. Of course I'm late. Hey, Vegas. So, all right. Hey, gun people. Nobody's late, I don't think. I'm early. It's not even 11 o'clock yet. It's 10:57. I was on the phone with a buddy of mine, and he was like, shit, dude, it's almost 11 o'clock. I got to get on there. You are live 5 by 5. I think that's kind of like, is 5 by 5, isn't that like fancy ham radio talk for loud and clear or something? All right. Buddy Mr. T, you're right there still eating. Oh, that's my alarm. Hang on. Alexa, stop. I had this set for 11 o'clock in case I forgot. Eating some Chicago barbecue. Damn, that sounds good. Wow. Rabbit's good. Free Mr. Potato. Freaking people got damn liberals. Their fucking potato head. Can't have a Mr. or Mrs. Yeah, I'm feeling better. I tried Flonase yesterday. It seemed to clear me up a little bit, but it almost seems like I have more drainage now since I took the Flonase. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I hope everybody got some conspiracy things. 10:59. If I start before 11, I'll have people, man, you said 11 and you already started. It's not fair. I didn't come in. I got 150 people here. Been live for 2 minutes and 59 seconds. All right. Let's see what we got here. You need, yeah, I know. I agree 100%. Ain't no doubt about that. Salt water rinse in mouth and nose. Man, I tried that freaking squirt on my nose and it felt like, I'm shit you not. After I squirted that thing up one nostril and it ran out the other one and I put that little salt mix, whatever it is for the, it felt like when I was water skiing and I would face plant and it would force water up my nose and I would fill it all the way up my sinuses. That's exactly what I felt like after I did that. And I was like, man, that's not a good feeling. I don't really like that. Kansas BBQ. Texas got some good barbecue. Texas opened up, everybody. I know everybody's picking on them. I got people commenting here saying, what do you think about your crazy governor opening up the city trying to kill everybody? I'm like, what kind of concept is that? What kind of concept is government saying, you know what? I'm going to leave it up to the people on whether they want to wear a mask, not wear a mask, or go out. I'm going to let the people decide what they want to do. And people are dogging on them for it. I mean, that's how bad we've got when we've gotten thinking government has to tell us what to do. When a governor like in Texas says, I'm opening up, I'm lifting all restrictions, all businesses are open, you can wear a mask or not wear a mask, all restrictions are lifted, people are complaining that he's crazy for doing that. And I'm like, really? An elected official allowing the people to decide their own fate in their own lives? That's a bad thing now? I just don't get it. Cameron. Flonase is like shoving a flower in your nose. I don't know about that. Probably good drain that crap out of your head. I don't know. Oh, man, this thing's been going on for freaking 5 weeks. It's driving me nuts. I wrote some written down. What the hell is that? Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. I know, but the government said he did, so how can you go against the government, man? The government would never lie. Tex-Mex. I'm going to eat some kimchi after this thing. I'm going to eat some more kimchi. Yesterday, that really drained me out good. I had a little oatmeal this morning. If you don't like Rick's talking, leave. Is somebody complaining about my talking? Damn, you come here to a live video and you're already... What do you want me to do on a live video? Okay, here. Come to my live video. Here, I don't want to piss anybody off by talking. Is that what you want to watch? Freaking crazy people. 149 now. 209 people watching is where I'm seeing. Try putting a clown emoji with words. Google deletes it. Why? Rick, have you been seeing the wrong doctor? You better go see Dr. Seuss. Yeah. Maybe I'll go see Dr. Falsey. Falke. Good luck, America. New York loves you. I don't know if all New York loves me. There may be a few patriot-loving people in New York that love me, but I'm pretty damn sure that all of New York does not like me or my style. You know what, though? I like it when evil dislikes me. I like it when ignorance dislikes me. It is not good that everybody likes you. It is good when good people like you and bad people don't. I think Confucius. Who said that? Maybe Confucius. I used to love Coke. Man, if you're white and you love Coke, you better change. You better get rid of your whiteness. I wanted to pull up that little thing. Somebody sent me a copy of what they put out to their people about how guilty everybody should feel to be white. Flonase fully effective for a few days. It doesn't cause me extraterrestrial, but it helps slowing down so the junk can come out. Maybe that's what's happening. But man, when I put it in last night the first time, my sinuses got red. Didn't really burn, but it didn't feel real comfortable. And I was like, shit, I don't know if I like this. But a few hours later, it seemed okay. Pickle, Rick. Pickle? Is that pickle or prickle? Prickle. Hey, gum people. Okay. I would feel like I'm drowning. Kansas barbecue means opossum. That's roadkill. Opossum is possum, for those that don't know. It feels bad. Saltwater balance is wrong. I believe somehow one have to get 4 to 5% salt water. Rick Eric. I'm responsible for my own health. No, the government is. They're here to help you and save you. Just give them more money and they'll keep you safe and healthy. I'm moving to Kansas 2 months. Getting the fuck out of this nasty state. I think every place probably got good. Is that a tattoo or a necklace? On your neck there in your picture, Angelina? Or do you go by Lynn? Or is that a shirt? I can't tell. Texas don't do barbecue on Sundays. What? Who said that? I go to Rudy's on Sundays. I'm telling you, if you're in Texas, go to Rudy's for the breakfast tacos. They put that chopped up brisket with potato, egg, and cheese. Oh, man. They put it on a nice, soft flour tortilla that's warm. They wrap it in a piece of foil. Comes out hot. Dude, their breakfast tacos are to freaking die for. Rudy's breakfast tacos. They only serve them till 11. But if you go after 11, you ask them. Sometimes they make extra. And I found them sometimes as late as 12:30. I'll go there for lunch at 12:30 or 1. I go, you got any breakfast tacos yet? They go, yeah, we got a couple. I go, cool. I'll take them. Even though it's lunchtime because they are freaking good. What did Yankee say? Bloody Marys. Yeah, I can't be doing liquor. I got too much stuff going on. I don't want to mess up my system putting more crap in it. I haven't had Jack or liquor in well over a month or two. I wish I could open up. Don't let me make my own decision. They're keeping you safe. My allergist told me to use Flow News daily. You know what? That's what my other buddy, my old commander, said. His wife uses Flow News every day, all year. And when I'm reading on it, it says, use it once or twice a day for the first week or two, and then once a day after that. And when I use that Afrin, it's like, don't use more than 3 days in a row. Now, that Afrin kind of burned, but it definitely opened me up. And I think it allowed my ear to drain because the ear pressure went away. I don't want to make this a medical thing. Shit. Everywhere should be open. Well, not if you're in liberal land. I want to leave Vermont looking hard at Texas. Look, Texas has a lot of good things, but it's just going too damn liberal. I mean, it's just pissing me off every day. They're catering to these liberals, and I'm just so tired of it. Wow, I did get deleted this morning. What? I didn't get deleted? Why would you get deleted? Super large curve gaming stream. Is this the large curve? It's funny. It's green over here, but it's blue when I'm looking at it. I actually have two of these. The one I'm looking at is the same one over here. This one is flat. This one is curved. But this one, I had to get a longer cord. This used to be my primary, but because they didn't have the right ports, and I had to get a different port because my computer only had two ports, one for a regular and one for a D something. So I had to get two different screens when I got my new screen because I wasn't computer literate to buy the right one. I'm glad Texas opens. A lot of the southern states are opening. Freedom isn't free. Okay. Propaganda. I know Texas. Batman suit. DVI. I don't know what DVI is. I've heard that term. I just can't connect it right now. Rick, you need more diversity at ranch. Add a German Shepherd. 25 cal gun. I don't have any small caliber. The smallest caliber gun I have is a 22. And I have 22 mag. But I have no 380s and no 9 mils. I have 38, 357, 45, 223, 30-06, 30-30, AK, AR. Those are my rounds. I know Texans moved to the West Coast, then moved back to... Yeah, there ain't no way I'm moving to the West Coast. All right, so what time is it? It's 11:09. We should have everybody here. I got 330 people. Thanks for swinging by. I like these little... I mean, you don't have to swing by, but I kind of like the little discussions because it brings up some funny topics, and I'm going to get some people on here today, and we're going to talk about conspiracies and probably open the border to illegals. Oh, of course, opening the borders is fine. Illegals can come in with no mask and spread COVID, and it's all okay because, if you say anything about them, it's Area 51. All right. So let's get to a controversial topic. 75% of the people believe in UFOs or that there's life on other planets. 75% of the people. Now, you can't get 75%. I don't know if 75% of the people believe in anything else. Somebody give me a couple topics where 75% of the people believe in something. That's pretty odd to have that many people agree. Normally, you get these 30, 30, 30, 35, 40, you get all these crazy things. It isn't a conspiracy, it's true. You think 75% of the people believe in religion? I don't know if that's true. It ain't true in California, I guarantee you. I agree there is too many planets. It's just crazy. And the more I'm watching, these different shows. And I'll tell you, the two shows you got to watch. One is Hangar One on Netflix. That show is pretty freaking. I've watched it probably the whole series probably 5 or 6 times, and each time I miss something that I kind of caught. I usually play it and fall asleep to it at night. That's why I'm watching it so many times. I just let it play as I fall asleep. But I'm listening to it as I'm falling asleep, and I'm picking up things that I miss. UFOs are demons meant to deceive. Oh, okay. Here we go. Religion has always been, I say always, the Catholic Church is the master. They're like government. They love to change their position when the people change. So when the Catholic Church first started, and I think Christians maybe as a whole, the earth was the center of the universe and it was flat. Well, maybe, I don't know if Christians were around when it was flat, but they always thought the earth was the center of the universe. God made it, and then he put the planets around us for us to look at. And there was a great story that made everybody feel special if you believed in God and you were Catholic or Christian or whatever it was, because the earth was the center, because we were made by God and God ran everything. And then, before we knew about the stars and the universe and galaxies and how big and expansive that space was, that was a good story to sell and everybody believed it. Matter of fact, the church believed it so much that when some astrologer, was it Aristotle? No, not Aristotle. Can't think of his name. When he said, wait a minute, I don't think the sun goes around the earth. I think the earth goes around the sun. And the church locked him up and imprisoned him because he went against their beliefs. Because government and the church, I think they're hand in hand. They're both governments. They love to control. They don't produce anything. They work on people's fears. They want you to give them money because they think they can do better with your money. And they fear you into giving them more money and to believe in them. And they like control, and they get control by telling you fearful things. Government and religion to me are exactly the same. I'm not saying there is or there isn't, or you're wrong or you're bad. I'm sure probably my numbers just went down. Everybody that believes in God or whatever is like, he's hating God. He's the Antichrist. He's hateful. All right, whatever. So the church changed their position and went, oh, okay. After it became provable and scientists, and they're like, okay, maybe we were wrong. That's good. Well, then the earth said, oh, no, there's not extraterrestrial life because God made us and he didn't make anybody else. And we're special. We're made in God's name. So there isn't. But yet the Catholic Church has an observatory they spent millions on to study the stars and planets. And now they're saying, well, we're not saying that there's not life. And if there is life, it doesn't matter. That doesn't change our position. And, God still made us and we're still the center. And we're, so the church is slowly coming around to where they're saying they think there's life. Yeah, the universe is too big and it's too old. I mean, our planet and our sun is kind of a young planet. What are we? Our sun's like 2 billion years old, and the universe is, I don't know how many billion years old. I mean, there were planets and suns around for billions of years before our sun was ever developed. And our sun developed, and I think it's 1 billion years old now or something. And all our planets and all our life developed with just in the last 1 billion years. Everything happened here. How can somebody think in the massive universe, even in our own solar system, just in the Milky Way, 1,000 light years across, traveling the speed of light, it'd take you 1,000 years to get across just our Milky or our solar system. What do they call it? Is it galaxy? I don't know. But anyway, it's just amazing how big and how little we know, that we can think we're so arrogant that we are the only ones that have this special life. Okay. Bigfoot. Look, when people put out these paper targets like this, or this paper tiger argument, what about Bigfoot? What about the Loch Ness Monster? What about... That's kind of a way to kind of discredit somebody. And that's kind of what I think the government does when you talk about UFOs. They want you to not talk about it. They want you to be crazy if you talk about it. And they will literally kind of laugh you out of the system or whatever if you do talk about it. But how can 75% of the people believe that? I mean, that's a huge number to me. Let's see. Gravity. Well, look, think about it. If, what? Anna Nicole married for love? Who was Anna Nicole? I kind of forgot all these. I don't keep up with all these movie stars. Is she like the one that married some old guy and he died and she married another old guy and he died or something? I think there was somebody that was running around married old guys. 75% of life. You might be right. But ice cream is not really an idea or a concept as big as whether or not there's life on other planets and whether or not they're visiting or not. Area 51, where drones were born. I don't know if that's true. I thought the first drone, some general, I thought in Iraq or when we first went over there, what was the first mission where we were over there? I was in doing Desert Storm. There was Desert Shield before Desert Storm. And then after Desert Storm, I thought was when they had the first drone. And I thought they just modified a small aircraft and used it as a drone. And that started the idea. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I haven't heard or read that Area 51, they started developing and making drones before one of the generals tried it out in the field. We can all agree the Earth is round. No, we can't. There's the flat earthers. I mean, I believe it's round, but I don't believe in UFOs. I don't believe we went to the moon. Okay. Texas Ted here. Texas Ted is, and I met Texas Ted in, I forgot where we were at. Nice guy, but I don't believe the Earth is round and spinning around 1,000 miles an hour. Wow. Ted, you are not a believer. So if it's flat, why don't you go to the edge? Because I want to look over. Why hasn't somebody videotaped one of you flat earthers? Why haven't you gone to the edge of the earth and taken a picture or video? I mean, give me something to start believing what you believe. If it's flat, there has to be edges. I want to see a video of the edge. I mean, I got videos of the earth from the moon. I got video. I can look up and see the moon. Do you not think the moon is round? You think the moon's flat too? Or is that, what's that show, Trump or Truman, where it was a fake moon and everything was fake and he was living? Is that what we're living in? Is the Truman world? Let's see here. Most people are addicted to air. Okay. There's no proof. Wow, dude. You have not researched. I can't believe there's anybody that thinks there is no proof. Look at the government documents that they release that are all blacked out and you get 2 words. You have government official top secret documents that have been unclassified or declassified, and now they release them, and out of a whole page discussing UFOs, there's only 2 words that aren't blacked out. Why the hell did they black out everything else? Why did they lie? I mean, there's just so much proof out there. And I'm telling you, man, if you watch Hangar 1, go just do me a favor. If you don't believe, go watch Hangar 1. I think it's 7 or 8 series. And listen to what they say. Some of what they say, I'm kind of like, oh, that's kind of bullshit. Oh, they're pushing their agenda there. Not everything in the series is factual, but there's a lot of factual shit that's pretty cool. And look, I'm skeptical. When somebody tells me that, I'm like, all right, am I being bullshitted? How can I figure out that this isn't true? So I'm skeptical. I don't take everything at face value. The hell just happened here? Did I lose my camera? Oh, I did lose my camera. Wow. I'm not a person anymore. What happened? All right. Am I back? What the fuck? I hit some damn button and it kicked me out. Am I back? Can somebody tell me if I'm back? Max, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, Max gave me a thumbs up. Let me bring Max in.
Hey, gun
Max.
people.
Hey, gun people. What's happening? What are you doing drinking that freaking caffeine in a can and shit? You're going to stud your growth, boy.
I'm tired as hell.
What's your hat say? 45? What does it say? Make a oh shit. And you're walking around in public. You're gonna get beat up here live. Are you in DC?
Yep.
Oh shit, dude. We're gonna see somebody get beat up. All right.
Although I'm in Spring Valley, which is, I looked into it a bit, and it had the highest percentage of Trump supporters at a whopping 15%.
Oh, no kidding. 15%. That doesn't make you safe.
Yeah, I know. Although, what I find interesting is that the more, like, almost every single person who's interacted with me about my hat has been positive.
Really?
Yeah, which I'm honestly surprised about. Because I would have thought there would have been some, like, burn witch that would have been like, oh my god, you're wearing that, you're racist, oh my god, you hate black people. And I'm like, okay, lady.
Now look, if somebody comes up and be rude, don't be trying to defend your ego or try to be tough just because you're on camera. I don't want you getting beat up or getting in trouble.
No, I know. I'm just like, man, I don't give a shit.
All right. What does your shirt say? I paused what?
I wanted to wear my Stop Steal shirt, but my mom was like, oh my god, no, you can't do that. So it says I paused my game to be here because it's just a shirt that I had clean.
Oh, all right. So are you here for a UFO story or a government conspiracy?
Government conspiracy, baby.
All right, what's your conspiracy?
Concealed carry.
Concealed carry. How is that a government conspiracy?
Well, in DC, so basically, I've seen people, and I had a conversation with one of my neighbors who's a Trump supporter, and he works for, I believe, I'm not sure, I think it might be the Department of Defense or something here. And he was talking to me, and he was like, yeah, I know the police chief, like, they only give out concealed carry permits to people who either have donated to their campaign or they know and are friends with. And what I hear is like, I know it's DC, almost nobody has a gun here. And after the court case DC versus Heller, which was like, you can't ban handguns, the lawmakers were like, okay, we don't ban handguns, we'll just make it so you can't carry them unless you pay us.
So DC has a law that you can carry a gun, what, in time of emergency or something, or no? Or?
No, basically, if you are caught, even outside on your own property, you get arrested, beat the hell up. You know, you can't have a gun, oh my god, you're evil.
So you can't get a concealed permit in Washington, D.C.?
You can, but it's extremely difficult. It takes I've heard an average of, from different people, something around like 6 months to a year at least. And the guy that I talked to who had one, surprised he was even willing to talk about it. Because I've talked to one guy who was rolling dirty and one guy who had it legally. And the guy who's rolling dirty was like, man, I'm not paying that shit. They told me I have to wait 2 years to get it, and I'm not doing that. If they want to arrest me, they can go fuck themselves. And then the guy who I talked to who was carrying legally was like, man, the only way I got this is because I donated to the police chief's campaign. And he told me that the police chief told him, hey, you know, I'm running again, you know, I want some support, man. My campaign isn't doing all that well. So basically gave him like, you give me like $10,000 or something, I'll get you a permit.
Yeah, well, that's the way government likes it, because then only the rich and the elite can have it, and the pesky citizens get screwed.
Yeah, and I've seen, so, I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like, when I'm walking around, I see cops with, like, quote-unquote, patrol rifles. When they have it, patrol rifles. When we have it, it's an assault weapon.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's like, I see cops rolling around just the other day. Like, why the fuck are they still here at the Capitol? It's like, oh, the QAnon people are like, oh my god, Trump's gonna get reelected on March 4th, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, it's not going to happen. My mom believed that. She was like, oh my God, people are going to stage another coup. They have to, we need more National Guardsmen. And like I've seen National Guardsmen driving around in trucks with, I saw one truck with like a turreted machine gun on it. And they stopped at a lot. I was like, why do you have that? And they're like, we want to go home. And I think they were from Texas or something or somewhere. And they're like, man, this is bullshit. We don't want to be here. But if we leave, we're going to be, I think they said something about, what is it called? I don't know what it's called, the National Guard, but basically like written up or like taking their credentials away or something. Like they can't protect DC anymore. And
Well,
so, like the National Guardsmen that I've seen are all like, I'd say about 65% of them are like, this is bullshit. We shouldn't be here. And then the others are like, oh my God, like we have a duty to protect our congressmen and women and whatever 72 genders there are. And it's like the Trump people are dangerous and evil, and we need machine guns because there's going to be another coup and it's dangerous. I'm like, how did you get in this position? Like, you're here to protect. It's like, were you ever a member of the National Guard or just like the Air Force Police?
was that a question to me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was reading a comment. What was that?
Have you ever been a member of the National Guard in any way, or just like the Air Force Police and a cop in California?
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever did National Guard.
Okay, because isn't there like a, like, I know there's no, it's like I vow to uphold the Constitution or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, the National Guard takes the same oath as the military that, but I think the National Guard is more for the state constitution.
Yeah, and I asked the guy about it. And of course he was overweight. He had one of those like trans stickers on his uniform.
Trans? On a military uniform?
Yep, like that trans flag, the like purple, pink. I was like, do you fucking, it's like, I can't tell on YouTube.
Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, and it's like, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Why are you like going around? You really think this is necessary? And he was like, I don't care if it's necessary. I don't really care about my oath that much right now. I just care about protecting the government. And I was like, you piece of shit.
Yeah, well, obviously he's a left-wing liberal, and he thinks government is good.
And I was like, yeah, and I got talking to him because I was having a snack, and I was like, so if you found out that I were 22 years old and I had a concealed carry license on me, what would you do? He was like, I would stop you and I'd take your gun and make sure you didn't do anything wrong, and then I'd make you come to the police station with me to get it back, and it would be a whole process. And I was like, dude. And because I think, and I've also talked to a lot of cops in this area. There was one cop I've talked to in DC who thinks that all the gun stuff is bullshit. It was a huge black guy. And he was like maybe 6'7" or something, 350 pounds of solid muscle. And he was like, man, this stuff is bullshit. And I was like, like, what do you think about happening in the Capitol? He was like, man, good. And because I was like, dude, because we were next to his car, and I was like, dude, what about the camera car? He was like, I don't give a shit, it's not on.
So where are you at now, Max?
I am, so American University is a like liberal left-wing paradise here in DC. Like, there's signs that say no weapons on campus, police only. You have to have a mask even outside the campus at all times. And I'm like, fuck you. And so I'm walking up the hill here. You maybe can't see how steep it is, but that building right there, that sort of, I don't know, like art type building, the Cats and Art Center, it gets hundreds of millions of government funding. It's closed, just like all the other damn museums. And so I am in, I'd say, the safest area of DC right now, and I've seen 3 gang shootings here.
Gang shootings? Nobody can have guns in DC. How can there be a gang shooting?
I don't know. And I was talking to cops. I was like, hey, have you ever seen gang shootings? And the guy was like, well, you see, the people don't follow the laws and the criminals. And I was like, so you're admitting to me that gun laws don't work? And he's like, no, they work. I was like, dude. And I just stopped talking to him because I was like, I'm going to catch the stupid. And I mean, like, and I saw a car accident here maybe a month or 2 ago, and I stopped, and the guy got out of the back car and threw a gun under the, like, you know how you talked about that shooting in Vallejo with the cop who, there was a guy who got out and grabbed a gun from the front of his van, and the cop dude, he was off duty, he was with his wife in a Mercedes, and he shot at the guy as he was running away.
I don't remember that.
Oh, but the guy kind of did that. He like stuck something under the hood of the vehicle. And I went. And I just gave a statement saying, "Hey, that dick bag ran the red light." I didn't mention the gun because I was like, I mean, he didn't seem like a criminal. He had a fairly nice car. He seemed like it was like a Toyota Land Cruiser. You know, $85,000 car. Seemed like a guy who just wanted to protect himself, and he couldn't because I guess he didn't have the right connections. And that's what I see. It's really sad because you either, when you're a criminal in DC and you have a gun, the police don't do anything. They let you go. Because, oh, it's not their fault. We need to be understanding. We can't, they're black, so we'll get sued and we'll be called racist. And you see a white guy with a gun, even if he's carrying it illegally, they're like, oh my God, get on the ground now. And I think it's bullshit. So, I turned 17 on the 14th of February, so just under a year until I can get my own gun. Actually, probably 2 years.
Actually, I think you can have a gun now if somebody gives it to you, right?
Well,
as a gift.
That ain't gonna happen. You willing to come to DC and give me one? Gonna have to convince my mom, though.
That's what I was about to say. Because you're 17, if your mom wouldn't allow it, but I'd give you a gun if you could have one before now, if your mom agreed.
Yeah, there's no way in hell she'd agree. She'd be, because when there were the riots in DC, like, they moved up to our area over the summer, and they beat the living hell out of the CVS near us. And so the glass was shattered, it was looted. Of course, no media covered it. Fiery, but mostly peaceful protests, as I remember. And I was like, hey, mommy, we need, like, why don't get a shotgun, man? And she was like, well, if something bad ever happens, like, we might, but only if it's a really bad situation. And I'm like, people are killing people in the streets. They're looting stores. They're burning down houses. How could it get any worse than that? And she's like, well, we need to understand where they're coming from. I'm like, no, fuck you. If you break in my house, I'm blowing your damn brains out.
Hey, if you have a gun in DC, can you have a gun in your house? I mean, is that legal, or do you need a permit to have a gun in your house?
You have to have a permit to do anything. Like, if you go to, there are no shooting ranges in DC. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but basically, the last gun dealer in DC in 2012, I think, like, man, fuck this, I'm leaving. So it was so hard, the feds were bothered, because DC is federally controlled. So the feds were bitching at him. They're like, you have to do this, you can't do that. The ATF was coming around, harassing him, tearing up his shop. And they're like, man, fuck you, I'm leaving. I'm going to West Virginia or something. And so now the police, they're trying to find someone to open a gun shop here. But the police right now are in control of the registration process. So you have to go to either a captain or a lieutenant. And if they say, no, you can't have a gun, that's it. You can appeal it, and they'll say, oh, we determined that he was likely to become a criminal. It's like, how do you know that? It's like, well, in D.C., there's a lot of gun crime. It's like, yeah, because you guys aren't doing a damn job. And so if you have a gun, let's say you magically somehow get a gun from the government. You have to, 10-round capacity, I think it's something like an 18-inch barrel on a rifle and a 20-inch on a shotgun. So even worse than the unconstitutional as hell NFA. And if you somehow do that, you have to have a safe bolted to the floor in the wall in like a place that I think it has to take like an hour or something for them to be for a thief of like a crew of 4 people to be able to get it out. And you have to store the ammo in a different safe across the house. You have to, but although you can store the ammo in the firearm, if you dismantle like an AR-15, if you take apart the lower and the upper, you can store the ammo in the receiver. And I mean, it's almost worse than California, I think. There's some things that are slightly better than California, some that are quite a bit worse.
So are you still home studying, or are you in school?
I am doing it, since I go to a private school, there are only like 60 people. So we're able to do it on a laptop from home. But a lot of schools here aren't. Either because
you don't go to school. You homeschool over a computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
does your instructors and teachers interact with you?
Yeah, the teachers I'd say are really great. Because again, it's something like I think only about a third of the people actually pay tuition. The other people, all immigrants, and I think one of them's not even here legally. They get like
Free.
scholarships. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's something like I think $45,000 per student who actually pays. And so my sister and I, we're both paying. Or our uncle is, because he's a lawyer and he can do that here. But I mean, it's insane. And it's like then we have fines. So it's like
Are
let's
they
say,
all liberal instructors or where
oh
they
yeah,
oh,
all
even though you're paying? That's freaking crazy to pay
my
somebody to shove shit that's stupid down your kid's brain.
yeah, and my main lesson teacher right now, he has one gun. He has a hunting rifle, and he goes hunting sometimes. But he's like, oh, I think people should have to register them, and well, I was like, well, Ethan, what every single time the government has ever created a registry, that has preceded the confiscation of the guns. He was like, that won't happen in America, and I was like, well, with the gun bill that's been proposed in the House, you would have the public registration of all firearms would be public.
If they
And he
don't
was like,
think guns are going to be seized, tell them to watch when I think it was the hurricane that hit New Orleans and they went house to house seizing guns. Or was it New Jersey doing a bombing? I don't know if they were seizing guns then, but they were going house to house.
oh yeah, the mail guy who shipped bombs in the mail, wish he'd shipped them to the feds. But anyway, yeah, I think they did, and I think you mentioned in one of your videos they went like door to door, just like completely tearing up people's houses. I think if you had like a revolver or something, they're fine. But if you had pretty much anything else, they'd be like, "Oh, well, right now it's a matter of public safety and like screw the Constitution." It's like, well, you can get fucked. But I mean, if that were happening, I'd be like, either you have exigency, you have a warrant, or you give me consent. I'm not giving you consent. You're getting a warrant, and I'm not opening my door unless you kick it in. But I'm pretty
That's a
sure
good policy.
I'm pretty
Hey,
sure in
Max,
DC.
I got a couple people waiting in, so I got to get somebody else in, bud.
Oh yeah, I might call him later if nobody's here.
All right, bud.
See ya.
See ya. JP, I think you're next. JP, you there?
Yeah, hey Rick, from the UK.
From the UK. I thought I heard an accent there.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, do you know what I was hearing about everyone saying about UFOs and everything, but I completely think there's no aliens.
People you think there is not?
I don't think there's no extraterrestrial life, no, outside this planet.
So you think out of the whole entire universe, we're the only planet that life developed?
Most likely. What's on the balance of probabilities? I don't think there is. I mean, look. Everyone says, "Oh, we've seen UFOs around the world," but UFO sightings seem to only happen in the UK or US. I mean, you never hear about other countries like, let's see, these small countries like Jamaica or in India or Sweden.
They don't have the massive communication and set up system to where when they report it or it gets out. And I agree. There's a lot. With all the cameras out now, if we're seeing, why don't we have better footage? So I question that also. But how do you explain the government having a no discussion policy? Well, let me ask you this. You're in UK. Do you trust your government?
Not entirely. I can't say it entirely. There'll be some things in my government that I would like them to change. But I'm just when people
entirely. So give me a percentage of how much you trust your government. 80% to 29%.
Yeah, I'd say 80%. I'd say 80%.
Oh my god, dude!
Why?
How can you? How old are you?
I'm 32.
32. Have you ever worked for government?
Yeah, I have.
When you work for government, did you see the incompetency and how they don't hire really good people? They just hire people for different reasons, and they're totally incompetent?
Most of the times in most companies, it's like everyone's hiring who they know, who their friend is, or who's set with who.
That's different because in a company, they have to make a profit, and they don't have free money they can steal from the taxpayers. In government, they have free money that they pay people that are non-productive, and they keep them and promote them, and they always hire 10 people to do the job that one competent person could hire. Do you see that when you work for government?
Well, do you know what? In terms of employing people, I don't think they base it on the person's merits. I mean, I don't think they're like picking certain individuals in terms of.
You think government hires on merit?
100%. I've worked in HR for them.
Dude, there is no. You're telling me that your government has no requirement that there has to be a certain percentage of women or blacks or
Yeah, of course. There's the equality right in the UK, but I'm just saying.
How is that merit based? Because what bathroom I use, how the hell is that merit based?
It's in terms of merit space. When I used to work for HR, we would look at the backgrounds of people, where they're from, their education status, their color, and we'd have to have a diverse portfolio when we're recruiting.
But that's not merit based. If it was merit based, it wouldn't matter what color or what sex they were. You would hire only based on experience and who could do the job. To be
honest, do you know when I say merit space, I mean like, okay, what kind of degree have they got? What kind of institution they got that degree from? What experience they've got? What companies they worked for? So in terms of merit space, that's how we work. That's how we value a potential candidate.
But you said you have to hire diversity, correct?
Yeah, it would have to be a diverse amount of people, and there's thousands of applications.
But diversity has nothing to do with merit. It has to do with what bathroom or what color you are. How is that hiring the best people? I mean, look, if I hired the best people and I end up hiring all women because they are the best at this job, how is that not? Are you saying I should have to hire some men because it's not fair if I only hire women and they're the best?
No, but I mean, we'd look to seek a diverse employment. We would look to be a diverse employer.
Diversity, you know what? If you wanted to survive and you needed a doctor and somebody that could build and do water and a scientist, and you had to pick people, would you pick somebody who was less qualified because you wanted diverse, or would you only pick the most qualified if your life depended on it?
Okay, obviously I would pick the person that's most talented. That's completely different, because you can, when it comes to recruitment, you can have loads of people with like the same qualities but different ethnicity or culture or anything like that.
Dude, you're killing me. I mean, I'm so glad you called, because I try to get it. I just don't understand how people like you, and you probably don't understand how people like me think the way I do, but government is so incompetent because they don't have to make a profit. They don't have to worry about a budget. Is your government work within a budget, or are they?
Yeah, we work within budgets. We work within budgets.
You do it? Well, you have a budget, but your government as a whole, does it have a budget? I mean, every year.
Yeah, 100%. We all have a budget.
Do you think America government has a budget?
I don't know, but in terms of what I think a lot of Americans feel. I know I'm going back onto my initial topic here in terms of when I was saying about UFOs. I don't think your government will be hiding the fact that aliens exist or UFO exists.
What? Now, wait a minute. What do you base that belief on? You just said you don't believe that. What do you base that belief on?
I just think what are they scared of? What are they scared of? What do they think people will be crying out or anything like that?
That's part of it. I'll explain that. That's a great question. Here's why government doesn't want to discuss it. One is they use the excuse that do you remember a long time ago where they did that radio show where they said the alien was evolving and people panicked? Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't.
Okay. There was I think it was Orson Welles did a radio show. And at the beginning of the radio show, back when they had radio before TV, where everybody listened to the radio, he said, this is an enactment, this isn't true. And he said it at the beginning only. Well, a lot of people tuned in after that. And he did an actual thing to like the aliens, and he played some explosions in the background. He goes, people are wanting the police departments. And people across the country, not only in this country, but in other countries that picked it up, started panicking and thought we were being invaded by an alien race. So government, in their warped little mind, they're like, the people are too stupid to handle if we told them there was life out there. So we can't tell them because they'll panic. So, like government always does, we have to protect the stupid people because we're government and we're smarter and we're better because we hire diversity. That makes us smarter and better, I guess. So therefore, we have to keep the stupid people dumb. Do you think your government has secrets?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you don't think your government tells the people everything, right?
They won't tell them every single thing, but I do think.
Why would they hide that?
In terms of protecting the public.
Protecting them from what? From knowledge?
Maybe, but I'm just saying you can't just say all the governments in the world are hiding UFOs and aliens. That's impossible.
Well, I say all governments in the world are hiding from the people because they want power and control, and honesty, usually
So do
isn't.
you believe every government in the world is hiding the fact that there's extraterrestrial life and of UFO evidence?
I don't know if I believe that. That's a fair question. I do believe that the major governments who have had significant UFO encounters or unexplained encounters are being secretive and not releasing information, because every time people ask for it, and I mean they've had people in UK from what is your CIA and FBI? Is it MI5 or MI6 or
Yeah,
something?
MI5, MI6.
Okay, those guys are concealing, and some people that have stopped talking to them said that they are keeping things. And part of the reason, to get back to your question on why would a government want to keep that, when an alien, let's say an alien craft has crashed and the government seizes that, there's such thing as reverse technology to where I can reverse build something. If you give me something, I may have never seen it, but I can take it apart, study it, and figure out what it works, how it works, and maybe recreate it. The government wants that technology for usually war or for, making them stronger, smarter than their enemies. If we can get you got to figure, if there is aliens and they're here, they are much more advanced than we are if they're able to get to our planet, because we can barely get to Mars. And that's just in our little planetary around our sun. I mean, it takes 1,000 years to travel across the Milky Way in our galaxy. So 1,000 light years. So we can't even get to most of the planets. So anybody that's able to get to our planet, if there is, they have to be pretty advanced in technology. So the government, if they got a hold of that technology, they would not want to share that with the world because it could be used against them, just like the atomic bomb. When we had it and the Germans had it and we were fighting on who was going to get it first, we ended up getting it first. And now there's a small group that has atomic weapons. And there's a lot of countries that can't get it, and we stop them from getting it because we say it's too powerful. And the major players, China, Russia, UK, US, all the major players say, oh no, only we can have it. You smaller countries aren't responsible enough to have it. So they hide the technology or suppress the technology or stop them from getting it. Would you agree with that?
To a point, because I can't. Do you know what, Rick? I'll be honest here. I can't agree with you on the fact that you can say. I know I can't agree on the fact that I don't believe every country would be hiding this from their people. I mean, there's no clear. I've never seen one bit of clear UFO evidence. If you could send me a link or anything like that, I'll be more than happy to examine it.
Okay, so there's. Do you have Netflix in the UK?
Yeah, we do.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, watch the series Hangar 1 and listen to the testimony, and they show documents that were released by, I think, even the UK government and our government, where they've redacted. Do you know what redacted mean?
Yeah.
Okay, for those that don't know, in case somebody's listening, redacted is if I release a document and I want to hide certain information about that document that I think is either personal or whatever, they redact it and they black it out. Sometimes police reports will redact someone's date of birth, their social security number, personal information, but they won't redact the meat of the report. Well, when a government releases documents on UFOs and crashes and unexplained things, they redact everything in the page except the date, it was a UFO, an attempted UFO reporting, and then maybe the location. And that's it. Everything else is blacked out. Why would a government declassify a document and only release 2 words on pages of documents that explain what happened when they're saying we want to open up information and share information? Why would they do that?
Do you know what? It's hard to answer that question because I wouldn't know why they do that.
I'll tell you why. Because they use the excuse. First of all, information is power, and government likes to have the information, and they like to control things. That's why. Do you believe that government will seize a patent sometime? That if, let's say, you discover something and they think it's connected to national security, and if other people will do that, the government will seize that and classify that. They may pay you for it, but they will seize that patent from you. Do you believe that occurs?
Yeah, on occasion, I can imagine that does occur.
Okay.
But I don't know how many. I can't say for you. I can't say on the top of my head how many real life examples how many times that's happened.
Buku. That means a lot. Okay, it happens a lot, and I mean, these are things to me that you sound like an intelligent guy, that you're kind of reasonable. You're not one of those wackos that you're full of shit. So you sound like you're reasonable, which kind of surprises me that you're so what I would call government trusting and friendly, because most people who are kind of thought provocative and critical thinkers, there's just so much evidence that government will never give up power or share information that can hurt their power or influence over the people. And I'm not saying all of it has evil intent, but that's just the nature of government. They want to maintain power and control and a hierarchy, and they don't want to share everything because they don't want their enemies to get it, and they don't want the people necessarily to provoke knowledge that could get them to turn against government or demand government do the right thing. Do you think they asked the American people, hey, we're going to bomb 2 cities in Japan and kill millions of women, children, and innocent people, and we're going to drop this bomb that's going to kill millions of people and kill people for years after that? We'd like you to vote on that. On what do you think we should do? Do you think the American people were asked about that?
No, they weren't.
Of course not. But government, in their knowledge and their hierarchy, thinking we know best, and we're doing it for the best, and we're protecting our people, they made that decision. The only thing that's more classified than nuclear weapons in the U.S. is UFOs investigations. It's at
Do you think that's only for the U.S. and not every other country, though? Because you know what, Rick? What I hear is everyone saying the U.S., US, but a lot of these conspiracy theories, in my opinion, seem to come from the U.S. Like, oh, we haven't visited the dark side of the moon. China's now visited the dark side of the moon. What's there to report on? When the NASA went to Mars and took the pictures on the surface, everyone started saying, look, they're cropping out these imagery of pyramids on the Mars. Yeah. It seems like almost, to be honest, in my point of view, unless I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I feel like most of the conspiracies about UFOs and alien life comes from the US only. I don't hear it coming from any other country other than the UK, really.
Okay. How many people are in the UK?
Millions.
Yeah, I think, I want to say, I can't remember. I looked it up one time online. But
I think it's somewhere around between 60 and 70 million, I reckon.
Okay. And how many people are in the US?
To be honest, I wouldn't know.
330 million. So would it seem reasonable that because we have so many more people, that may be why the majority comes from here versus countries that have 1/3 or 1/4 or 1/8 of the population? I mean,
you could say that, but you could say that about India. India and China have a huge population. And
correct.
You can't say the technology in China is rubbish, because it's not. The technology in China is far more, in terms of cameras and everything like that, it's far more advanced than the US.
I agree. I agree.
China is hiding any kind of UFO evidence or anything like that.
But however, in China, they don't have a free press. The government controls everything. And if you go against the government, you can't even access websites on the government doesn't want you to know.
That's true.
And so would it seem reasonable, even though they have a lot of people, if the people can't get their message out, maybe that's why everything comes from the U.S. where we can, and we have the largest population probably besides China, India. Maybe that's why most of it comes from here. I mean, is that reasonable? To me, that's reasonable.
I think in certain aspects, but I think information like this would be leaked by China. If look at the whole COVID pandemic that got leaked when that doctor wanted to release information about China hiding the whole how effective the COVID-19 was.
Went to jail and disappeared.
Yeah, that's right. People got put to jail and disappeared. But with alien life or UFO, I've never seen any plausible evidence or anything like that to come from China, any of the countries with more population than the US. And I feel like people will say, oh, okay, India is highly populated, but it's a very poor country. They don't have that advancement in technology. That's not true. They do have that advancement in technology. They're one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
Yeah, and I don't dispute that India, with all their people, you would think that they would have a lot of reports. But and I mean that's a valid question. I don't necessarily think that because they don't report that the reports in the US or in the UK, the UK has a lot of, if you watch that Hangar 1, you're going to see where the UK and a couple of prime ministers and people that they interview, it's pretty interesting to me.
Do you know, I'm going to definitely watch it. I'm going to definitely watch it. And I would love for you to do like another thing like this where I can come back on my thoughts.
Man, that would be great, man. I really enjoyed our talk. And I think you give a different, because UK people, I mean, I kind of, and you know, you may call me a racist or a bigot or anti-UK, or if there's a word for people that hate the UK. I don't know if there's a word. There probably is a word. But to me, people in the UK, they almost seemed a little desensitized to government corruption, and they're really pro-government to the extent of their detriment of freedom and expression. And they're so kind of trusting of their government that they never question or hold their government accountable. I don't even know if you can hold your government accountable in the UK. I mean, what do you do if the government does something you don't like?
We protest.
Oh, and when they come out and pepper spray you and spray you down with hoses, do you still protest? I mean, does the government ever say, they're protesting, we'll change what we do?
I mean, we don't have that much of like them pepper spraying us in the UK when we protest.
Okay, so do y'all protest a lot? Because I don't see a whole bunch.
Yeah, we protest a lot. There's loads of protests in the UK.
Okay.
To be honest, compared to the US, it's not as violent, and there's not a lot. I don't hear of deaths happening in the UK when people protest.
Okay. But does the government ever say, oh, they're protesting, so we're going to go ahead and change what they're protesting about? Does that happen?
On the odd few occasion.
On a few occasions, but majority of the occasions, not, right? The government ignores it.
Yeah, on majority of occasions, not.
And that's why I don't get how the UK has this almost blind loyalty. I call it kind of brainwashing, not to be insulting, but has this blind loyalty to their government, where as the US, you got to realize we fought the redcoats to gain independence because we didn't want to be ruled over and told what to do. We wanted freedom to express religion and to talk, and freedom to own a gun. And the redcoats were like, you can't own guns and you can't have freedom, and we can do what we want, and you have to pay us taxes. So the US was born out of this conflict of wanting freedom. And that's how our government is based. So that's why you have this kind of anarchy or this rebellion type patriot attitude in the US. And that's why people in the UK call us gun lovers and crazy, and, you know, we're a violent society. Yeah. We were born out of having to fight for our freedom, and we value it, and we distrust government. And our founders made our document totally to hold government accountable and to stop government growth and to stop government from seizing our freedoms. That's how this country was born. And then people on the outside don't understand when people like me or other patriots are like, our freaking government's out of control, we got to hold them accountable. They don't understand that, especially people in the UK, because they're like, our government's kind of good. We like our government, and we think they do good, and we don't ever question, and they don't ever hurt us, and everything's fine. It just boggles my mind for that attitude, almost like it boggles UK that I would carry a gun around in my car. They're just like, wow, that's crazy.
Do you know what, Rick? Do you know, in terms of the gun thing, what you said, I don't know what your thoughts are on like carrying guns. I'm opposed to it. I think guns should be banned in America, but I know that's going to be another debate, because that's going to be
You're killing me, dude.
No, that's going to be a big debate, and we got to discuss that on another day. So I would love to discuss the gun debate with you.
Oh, I would too, dude. I would love it. Well,
you know,
come back to this channel. I do a live every Sunday for my gun channel. So make sure and come back. And
definitely.
Next time in your name, instead of just putting JP, put JP space, I think guns should be banned or something. And so that way, when I see it, I'll be like, oh, shit, there's my brother from the UK. We're going to have to go to blows on this one. Go watch Hangar 1 on Netflix, all those, and maybe take some notes on, and if you're looking for the bullshit, you're going to see some bullshit. But there are some factual stuff in there that's hard to argue with. And the other thing is unacknowledged, a story on, do you have Amazon Prime?
Yeah, I've got that.
Oh, okay. So let me pull up real quick on Amazon Prime, because I did that the other day. And I pulled up the title, but I didn't know what the title was. And it was Awakening.
I'll make sure I change my name to JP. Guns should be banned in the US.
Yeah. Do that, because then we'll talk about the gun ban and why we have different beliefs on that. And I mean, look, dude, I really enjoyed this talk, man. Even though we may not necessarily agree, you expressed your point, I expressed mine, and we'll let people decide.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
And that, to me, the UK has lost free speech a lot. Would you agree with that? Do you think we have more free speech here than in the UK?
I agree you have more free speech in the US, but I think there's a certain aspect on where free speech then becomes offensive.
Oh, so you believe in free speech unless it's offensive?
I mean, no, to a certain degree. It's like, in terms of saying free speech, I believe people can say whatever. I believe people can, to an extent, people can say what they like. But when, in terms of if people are just doing it to drive hate towards let's say it's to a certain race or anything like that, I don't believe in something like that.
So if people are talking about like white people to make them hate them, you don't think they should be able to say that?
No, I don't think that. I don't think that defines what. I don't think that should be allowed. No.
Okay, so free speech unless it's offensive. Now, see, in the U.S., we think free speech is paramount, and it doesn't matter if it's offensive, because being offended is a choice. You can listen, you can be offended, you can leave, or you have the right to express your opinion in counter of the person that says things that you disagree with. But you don't want to give people the option of stopping people from talking about something that's offensive, because anything can be offensive to anybody, and then you start ruling on what's popular. So if everybody believes that talking about religion is offensive, then nobody can talk about religion. And if everybody believes that talking about sex is offensive, nobody can talk about sex. And then you slowly start chipping away at the freedom of free speech in the name of protecting offensiveness. So the U.S. believes that that's a critical thing that stops and stifles freedom. And that's what we don't want, because we want freedom, and we want the ability to either not listen to you and blow you off when you talk stupid shit, because we think we're smart enough to decide. We don't need government or other people telling us, oh, that should be offensive to you. We don't want you to hear it. We're going to choose what you can hear and what you can't. To me, that gives other people control over your life, which takes away freedom from you. Can you not see that or understand, or does that?
Yeah, I understand that, but I believe that some hate speech is not free speech.
Yeah, but who defines hate?
I mean, morally, wouldn't you think something in terms of hate speech? Would you think, okay, so let's say someone said, okay, shooting freely is, and being allowed to carry a gun, if someone gives you the wrong look, you can shoot them on the street. Do you think that's good free speech?
Well, look, if somebody wants to say they can shoot them, doesn't make it so. I mean, if I say, you know what, JP, if I saw you, I'm going to punch you in the face. Is that hate speech?
Well, it's an aggressive nature, and that's classified as hate speech. Yeah.
Okay, how about if I say everybody that's named JP is an idiot, and I want to punch all JPs in the face? Is that hate speech?
Again, yeah, that is hate speech. Because
So
what I'm trying to define here,
I shouldn't be able to dislike everybody with the name JP.
You could, but there needs to be some kind of, in terms of saying, okay, if I hate everyone with the name JP, and everyone with the name JP should be shot. That's hate speech, and that can influence someone's actions to do something negatively, which can affect them.
But it could influence, but it may not. So are you saying that if something could influence somebody, then that's hate speech? So I should, when somebody talks, they should have to filter their speech that maybe if I say this, it would have maybe if and buts and coconuts influence somebody, so therefore I can't say it. So every time somebody talks or says something, they should have to filter that on whether it may or might offend or influence somebody. Is that your idea of free speech?
No, because it wouldn't really be classed as free speech if you're going to say that.
Man, it really boggles me that I mean, I understand you believe that and you think it's good, but it just boggles me that you can.
Because do you know what I think the what I've seen, like especially in the news and stuff like that, especially with what was going around in the US when I was seeing the whole Trump Biden thing, where people were saying the way it was publicized in the UK about Trump supporters seem to be hating on colored people, hating on Hispanics. The way it's publicized over here, it looks as though when they're preaching, not when they're preaching, when they're like going around demonstrating, it looks like their demonstration are not peaceful, and it's really about hate speech rather than freedom of speech. And
okay, I can agree that
it might be the media trying to mangle my mind or anything like that. But in terms of
you
hate,
trust the media,
no, I wouldn't trust all media.
but you trust some media.
Dependent. It's dependent because some media can be far right, some can be far left. I balance on the balance of what I read on both sides.
What do you think motivates a media to be honest? What do they have to lose if they're not honest, or what they're honest? What, to me, they have nothing to lose, because whether they lie or not doesn't matter. What do they have to lose?
I mean, a lot of media lies, but there's some media. There's some media companies out there. Yeah, they do twist things to make you believe in what they believe.
Sure,
but
do you think media works with government?
Lose all the viewers? I mean, if you were spouting off stuff right now on your channel saying about, I don't believe it. I don't know if you mind me asking this. I don't know if you would want to ask this. Did you vote Trump or Biden?
I voted for Trump.
Okay, so if you started spouting out here about Biden, do you think you would have this many followers right now saying Biden's a good guy, you should vote Biden?
I think if I started a pro-Biden channel, I would have ignorant people that would come there. Yeah. I think I would have just as many people that like Biden come there and go, Biden's great, Biden. And if I wanted to promote that and agree and go, oh yeah, man, Biden is the great man. He's the shit. I love him. And he wears a mask and he's funny and he's always grabbing little girls and he's cool. I mean, I think I'd have a whole lot of people agreeing with me on that channel. And if I had a Trump channel, I would have people that came that like Trump. I would also have a few that would come that hated Trump. But let me ask you this. Do you like Trump? Are you a Trump fan or a Biden fan?
From the UK's perspective, I know this is going to go down bad with people. Yeah, I'm a more Biden fan.
You would prefer Biden. You think he's more fair. You think he's more equal. You think he's less racist. You think he's more understanding.
It's not that I'm saying Trump's racist or anything like that. I do think some of the stuff that he comes out with in terms of injecting bleach in you to cure yourself for COVID. I mean, not wearing masks. I think that's silly. And I don't think that's a good leader. I mean,
did you actually hear him say the bleach thing?
Well, do you know? I wish I could get the video up for you. I can't remember it word for word. It was based. It was on the base. I mean, I wish. Do you know what? I wish I can get the video up. I don't know if you watch Good Morning Britain, but I know most Americans will probably hate Piers Morgan right now.
Oh,
but
yeah,
there was a debate.
He's a big anti-gun guy. So remember, I'm a gun channel. I'm very pro-gun. So Piers Morgan is pretty much, right up there with the hate list, probably for most of my viewers. I mean, I don't like the guy. I think he's a weasel, and I think he ought to keep his mouth shut. But it's not.
I agree with you. I think Piers Morgan is a prick, and some of his, to be honest, his views on COVID in the UK are I respect them, but most of these other views I don't respect them. I take a balanced view on it, like whereas with Trump, I do think some of the actions Trump did when COVID came out by like not allowing countries to fly in and out of the US from China. I mean, closing borders. I thought that was a really good plan of his. But some of the other stuff that Trump's done.
Wait a minute. Really you thought that was good? That he was being racist and stopping people?
I don't think he was being racist. I think he was doing I don't think he was being racist. I think he was doing the best.
Absolutely correct. See, that's why I like you, because because sometimes the things you say, I'm like, dude, how can this guy be so smart in one area, or not necessarily smart or dumb, but just how can he understand and get it in this area and then kind of like totally lose it when it comes to this area, like anti-gun. And I mean, it boggles me, man. And I totally think this is just so cool that I can talk to you at a distance like this and have
Yeah,
so different
do you
beliefs.
know what? Yeah, I think. Do you know what? Next Sunday, yeah, if we're gonna, if you don't mind, if I would love to have a gun debate with you about why I
Absolutely.
think
We'll
guns should be
schedule it
banned.
right now. I will be on at 11 o'clock next Sunday. So whatever time it is right now here in the U.S., it's 12:11. So I started about an hour ago. So whatever your time is there an hour ago is when we'll start next Sunday.
Definitely. Do you know what? I wish. Do you know? Do you have people in this chat where they believe they believe guns should be banned, or is it just all pro gun supporters here? Or
Most of my people are pretty much all pro-gun. I still have some people that are a little bit, but there's usually trolls that just like to come because they know it's
Yeah.
kind of a pro-gun channel. They just want to come and stir up. They don't want to have a logical conversation like you and say, hey, here's why I believe it. And I get it. And they'll listen to the other side and we can have this conversation. So, but I have a few trolls that are probably anti-gun, but normally, and you're going to see if you hang around this, the next people I have are in the comments, you're going to have some people that are going to be a jerk to you and say, that guy's an idiot. He don't know what he's talking about. And you'll have other people.
No, I expect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I expect that. But to be
Yeah.
honest, I mean, everyone's to their own opinions. I respect your opinion. Hopefully you respect my opinion. But yeah, no, the gun debate next week will be really good.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely going to look at these programs that you're showing up on your screen right now.
Yeah, right here. Unacknowledged and exposed of the world's greatest secret. This guy right here is a doctor. He was an emergency room trauma doctor, and he started investigating. So, I mean, he's not like some kook like most people want to put anybody that believes in UFO. They live in a trailer out in the middle of a field in the country. This guy was a trauma room doctor, and he started investigating, and he did a project. And when Clinton was elected, Clinton was a left-wing guy, probably a UK guy. They liked him in the UK because he's left-wing. He solicited this guy to come and talk to him and to share information about UFOs because the CIA and other people in our government told Clinton he did not have a need to know and refused to share information. So he actually hired this guy as a consultant to come and brief him on all the investigation he's done. And he covers all that in this, I think it's a 2-hour show. Very, very enlightening. Some really good stuff. If you watch this and Hangar 1 on Netflix next Sunday after I get finished beating you up with a gun debate, we'll try to get to what you thought of those two shows, dude. Man, I really appreciate you coming. This is a great conversation. I love this.
You know, yeah, definitely, mate. But it's been great talking to you.
All right, partner. You have a great day. Thanks for calling.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
All righty. Dude, what a great call. I love that. This is what the internet's about. Who's next here? Christopher.
Hey, Rick, you hear me?
I do hear you. What's up, Bubba?
Oh, awesome. This is so cool talking to you, man. First-time caller, long-time listener.
All right.
Coming to you live from behind enemy lines in Massachusetts.
Oh, hell, you might as well be in the UK.
Yeah. No, listening to him, there are so many people around here that think just like him. I don't know what it is about the British, but they have a mentality that is just different from Americans to their government. You know, like it goes back to, I mean, when we fought the Revolutionary War, they were paying higher taxes in England with representation than we were here. They didn't fight a war, you know?
I think most UK is okay with taxes. I think they think it's a good thing. I don't get it, but they do. And again, a government, you know, their government is only ruling over what? How 60 million? Is that what he said? I don't remember.
I think it's less than that. I think it's like 30 or I don't know, maybe 60. Yeah, he probably knows better than I do, but you know.
How many people in UK?
Well, while you're looking that up, even more historically, they were mandated in England in the medieval times to train with their longbow a certain 6.6. Yeah.
66 million.
6.6.
Yeah, so we have 330 million. That's like what? 1, 2, almost.
I think we have more than that, actually. We're pushing 370, actually, at this point, you know?
Oh, are we?
Yeah. And then think about it. China and India both have over 1.3 billion. So each of those countries has more than a billion people than we do.
It's still saying 328.
Oh, okay.
China is saying 1.3, almost 1.4.
Imagine that. China, and then India has something similar. So Each of those countries has over 1 billion more people than we do. It's insane, the populations of those
It's
countries.
crazy. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Going back,
he made a good point that why in the countries now, China, I just totally discredit because they can't say. So that's why we don't get any reports from China about UFOs, I think, or any information. The government controls everything.
Yeah.
But India, I don't, are they, I mean, they got a lot
well,
of
you can't compare India to China. I mean, they have such a crazy class system there that it's literally rags or riches and nothing in between, you know? So not all 1.4 billion Indians have a cell phone in their pocket. Like, you know, every American has a cell phone in their pocket, you know?
Right.
So, but I actually have seen a UFO. But like, I don't like to tell people about it because people just start to go, oh, geez, he believes in aliens. He's crazy. Yeah.
And that's exactly what government wants because they want to discredit and make people look crazy. So you stop people from talking about it. And then government is the only one that gets their narrative on why it's BS and why you should.
It's all about the narrative.
If government tells me that it's not there, I automatically know that it's probably there.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, it's a UFO. It's unidentified flying object. You saw something. You don't know what it is. A lot of people make the jump. I saw something. I don't know what it was. It's an alien.
Correct. Correct.
You can't do that, you know? So I say I saw a UFO. I don't know what I saw. It was a ball of light, low, flying over at a slow rate. And the thing that I can never explain is it was absolutely silent. You know, there was not a sound to be made. And that is a common theme when you hear about these sightings. People say there was no sound. I thought it was a helicopter or a plane, but there was no sound.
The movements are jerky and we can't.
Mine was smooth. Mine was smooth and just slowly coming over. Honestly, I've tried to explain it 100 times. Like maybe it was like even when they took Bin Laden out and they had that stealth helicopter, I was like, holy shit, maybe I saw one of those flying over, you know? But I don't think they were quiet, those helicopters. They just couldn't be seen on radar, you know? So,
correct.
But
they do have like a whisper mode to where it is quieter. They do have something that quietens. I don't know if it's a bigger muffler or whatever. I mean, you can make cars and motorcycles quieter or noisier, but you know, a helicopter's an engine, so you can do things to make it quiet.
If you ever see the video of the Phoenix lights, those, you know, it's a group of lights. You can find it online easy, but it was a bunch of balls of light hovering over the mountain range in Phoenix, and it hovered there for hours and hours. There's tons of videos and photos of it, and but it was just one light for me. It wasn't a squad of them, you know, like this was, you know. A lot of people said like, oh, it was one big object. You know, we saw it flying over. It was a V shape. Well, if you had
the V shape is getting pretty popular. Not the and the triangle is the more I'm looking into this.
Canadian geese, they fly in a V. It's not one object, you know. It could be a bunch of
lights.
No, obviously, no Canadian geese unless they're holding a flashlight or something. But no, like they fly in formation. Jet fighters fly in formation. You know, so why wouldn't these fly in formation in a shape of a V? You know.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of your channel. I've been watching for years. Honestly, as soon as I got my license to carry up here in Massachusetts.
Man, that's a hard thing to do, ain't it?
You know. Yeah, it's weird. I could go on and on about it, but like I'm sure it's semi-similar to you in Texas. You have to go and take a class, right? And then apply for a license at your police.
A 4-hour class. It's your certificate.
Yeah, 4-hour class here.
Then you go to the range, you shoot, and then when you get your certificate, you turn that into the state. You pay your $25, and you get issued 5 years.
Yeah, it's funny because even in Massachusetts, they don't require a live fire course.
No shit.
We have people doing it on Zoom right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the range, there's one in my town, actually. They say, well, you can come in another time and we'll have you shoot, you know, at no extra charge, you know. But with COVID and everything, so people are doing it on Zoom. And then you go to the police department and you apply for a license. So it's $100 for the class, $100 for the license. And then if you're in Boston, just the city of Boston, you have to go to Moon Island, which is an island in Boston Harbor where the state police has their shooting range. and you have to pay an extra $100 and take their course with their gun, their ammo. It's like a set course of fire that you have to go through, and you have to pass that in order to get your license if you live in the city of Boston. And then if you live outside of Boston, there's may issue and will issue towns. So I live in a will issue town. So basically the burden of proof is on them if you can own a gun. And then my father lives in a may issue town. And so you have to prove to them.
Decide on may issue.
Yeah, right. They have, they're more likely to refuse you, Yeah.
See, but Texas is a shall issue. They have to prove why they don't issue you.
Right. So that's the town I live in, but it's town to town in Massachusetts, But funny thing about mass gun laws, we have some more liberties than you guys do in Texas. Like I can carry in a bar, I just can't be drunk. I can carry in a bank, and you can't, right? In Texas?
No, I think you can carry in a bank. You can't carry in a bar. You can carry in a bar if it doesn't get its revenue. It's kind of weird. They have a big sign. It's called 51%. So if there's a big red 51, that means you can't carry a gun, meaning that they make 50% of their revenue from alcohol sales. Therefore, that makes it a bar. If like Chili's and other places that have a bar, they sell alcohol, but they make most of their money from food, you can carry in those places. So
yeah, so they would technically classify it as a bar if it sold more liquor than food.
Right. If you make over 50% from liquor sales, you're considered a bar, and you can't carry. Now, I think I can carry as a retired cop, because as a retired cop, I get to carry in places that a concealed carry can't. Like I can carry on school grounds. I can carry at a gun show. At gun shows, they always say no guns allowed, even concealed carry. Right. But as a cop, I can carry there. So there's certain places that I can carry. Most laws that stop concealed carry from carrying don't apply to retired cops.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my uncle was a retired cop. He just passed a COVID, and he was a detective in Wareham, Mass. And that was tough, but it just came out of nowhere. But
so he died from COVID?
Yeah, complications.
He just passed it on, but no, he died.
No, he passed away from COVID. Yeah.
How long did he have it, and what was the symptoms?
A few weeks. Yeah, a few weeks. I guess he got checked into the ER pretty quick. His girlfriend had it too, his fiance, whatever, and she got over it. But yeah, he had kidney issues, so I guess it shut down his kidneys. And they say it's like it short circuits your system. So like, it attacks your lungs, it attacks your kidneys, it starts shutting down all your organs, and then you die from complications from the virus, Right. But like they had him in a medical induced coma, and they were, they gave him a tracheotomy to help him breathe. And yeah, he was out of it. They had, you couldn't have visitors. So it was tough, How
long was he in induced coma?
A few weeks. So they were saying if he did recover, he was going to have to learn to walk again, talk again, eat again. So, and then my other uncle,
from his first symptom to where it got bad, how long did that take? Do you remember?
A few days.
Really?
Yeah. But like the symptom, he could have had it. He was working in detail. He was what do you call it? A road cop, right? Retired on active, so he was doing details, as they call it something up here, like a public safety officer. And so he was on a detail, and he caught pneumonia. And I guess probably his reduced immune system from the pneumonia let him catch COVID, Plus he was out doing stuff. He probably wasn't being as careful as he should have been, Right. But so he could have had it for longer, and then the symptoms kicked in, and then a few days he was in the ER, and just he was basically gone.
You said he had kidney issues before.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Like a long.
Only issues? No heart, overweight, lung.
No, he was good, lean guy. Yeah, he was in good shape. I really feel for my father, because he is the second oldest, and he lost his two youngest brothers in the same year in 2020. My other uncle, he was the second oldest, and or the middle, I'm sorry, whatever. But he died in March, last March, and we didn't know, but they're saying, yeah, it was probably COVID because it just hit him fast. They said like he had an infection and they didn't know what it was, and he was gone in a matter of days. And so like my father, yeah, he lost 2 brothers in 1 year from COVID.
Wow. Yeah, there was a nurse that lost 3 family members in 2 weeks. She was on the radio the other day, and I was like, damn, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
But I mean,
because he never got to.
Still has a 95 or 99%, recovery rate if you're semi-healthy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it just seems like because they were all in their 60s. They're at that
right.
That threshold of it hits you harder, and then I was worried for my father because he had a hip surgery. During all this, he had a hip replacement.
Wow.
And I was like, geez, you gotta be careful, just stay in the house and recover, because like your system's already weakened as it is, plus him being in the hospital, but he was fine, he's back on his feet again. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you sharing your story, man. I'm sorry for your loss, and that's sad about that.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to take it to a dark
that's
place.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
That's what's great about this show is it goes where it goes. I'm not here to keep you. Hey, stay on focus, stay on top. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you.
Let's get back to guns. Let's get back to guns to talk about guns, because I talk about them all day.
Yeah. Well, come back next Sunday when JP's here. Is he gonna tell me why?
Yeah, I'd love to. Guns? Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
I wanted to make one more point about him with England. They are so indoctrinated by their government that it goes back to even the medieval times, where they were mandated by the government to practice with their bows. I think it was an hour a day, except Sunday, and
to fight for the government.
To fight for their government, but they were not allowed to own certain arrow tips, because they were like, that's where the word warhead comes from, is they had a certain head for their arrows for war. So it could penetrate armor. So like this, weapon control has been around for ever,
every government,
and they have, and they have, been subjugated to it for a long time. I think they're just such an old country that they're like, well, this is, this is the way it is.
They still have a queen. I mean,
I don't get that either.
Her shit, and they got taxes going to her so she can live rent free, and everybody's okay with it. I'm like, wow. I don't even like having politicians like Pelosi and freaking McConnell and all these other assholes in our country that have been in politics for 30 and 40 years. I think they've been in too damn long. And they just had a congressman or somebody in Texas die, and his wife just announced that she's running, and they had her on a radio show, and I'm his wife, and I'm going to fight for the same. And I called in. I go, dude, what is this keeping in the family, this Clinton family?
She's qualified. I know. Michelle Obama's going to run.
Government make you better.
Michelle Obama's going to run for president because she was married to the president, so that qualifies her to be the president.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It just drives me, and people are okay with it. They're like, oh yeah, they'll be better because they know. No, that's not better. They're usually worse because they know the crookedness. They know how to get favors. They know how to use it. They know they're going to get rich. That's why they want it. When somebody's wanting a job too bad, don't tell me about how tough the job is. That's why I get tired of cops talking about, man, it's so tough. You got cops that never retire, never quit. They'll stay in the freaking job forever, and they cry about how tough it is. I'm like, if it was that tough, you wouldn't stay. I mean,
these politicians acting, it's a big club, and we're not in it. And it's honestly, it's like a country club where you invite your buddies in, and that way it all stays within your group, you know? And you want to talk about conspiracies, that's that's one that's right in front of our face, I mean, that Fauci literally lied to everyone saying masks don't work because they didn't have enough masks. There was a shortage of it. And then he says, oh no, we found out now that masks do work, so everyone needs to wear a mask. Now that there's enough masks, Yeah, that's why when people tell me they trust government, they believe government, I'm like, dude, they lie every stinking day. How can you believe anything they say? I mean, the only people less credible than the media is government. It's total incompetence. And that's what gets me about so many of these conspiracy theorists is they all have this divine belief. A lot of it a lot of these things, they answer existential questions. Is there life after death, or is there life on other planets? Whatever. What happens after we die? And they all believe it. So it's a lot of religious people, but a lot of the other government conspiracies, they have this notion that the government is this divine and all-knowing entity that is playing this 3D chess game, and it's just not the case. If you want to believe conspiracies, I believe the government's incompetent and they allow stuff to happen sometimes because they know they can benefit from it.
Absolutely. A crisis is a great way to scare people to give you more money.
JFK, they could have known someone was gunning for JFK, but a lot of very powerful, dangerous people did not like JFK, and they allowed it to happen. He had a roof for that convertible. It was
yeah.
They could have put the roof up on that convertible. He was going through Texas, and they had wanted dead or alive, JFK posters.
And they bring him to Dallas.
Yeah.
Really? Why they got to make Dallas the bad guy? Why's Dallas got to step up?
Yeah. Or there's a CIA, former CIA agent, Mike Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times, and you might want to check him out. He's pretty good. But he said the one thing is MLK. That was definitely an assassination, set up from the government. He said someone knew where he was going to stay at that hotel, and they scoped out the boarding house across the street and rented that room because it had a perfect line of sight to the balcony where they knew MLK was staying, So.
Yeah, anytime the government tells me, oh, no, there's nothing to see here, and then they classify documents. JFK documents have been classified for 40 or 50 years. And I thought there was a couple presidents that were going to Obama said he was going to declassify them, and then he didn't. So look, if the government's classifying, and a UFO right now, like I said, UFO is the only thing that has a higher classification than nuclear weapons. I mean, it's like top secret nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons and the president are two highest resources in the government when I was there that you can protect. I mean, in the military, those are the two highest priorities, the president and nuclear weapons. Nothing else comes. And if it comes down between the two, nuclear weapons is higher than the president. But the president is usually higher unless if somebody takes a nuclear weapon as a president hostage, president is expendable. It's right in the things. The nuclear weapon is a priority. So, I mean, but the only thing higher than that is the UFO discussion. We won't discuss it. We won't release it. And we will deny it.
They might be linked. There have been cases where UFOs were spotted near Air Force bases with holding nuclear weapons, and they shut down their entire system. They said if the president called and ordered a nuclear strike, we couldn't have done it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they discussed that in either Hangar 9 or that unacknowledged video. They talk about
funny, that JP guy, because they, like you were saying, they had the British Prime Minister of Defense, and the former, and he was saying they absolutely know. See, but my thing is, the government is not telling us anything because they don't want to tell us. They have no idea what these things are, and they have no control or ability to stop them.
I don't think that. I think they're not telling us because it's technology. In that Hangar 1, they talk about alien technology and the transistor. And back in the 1947, when Roswell happened, a radio, just a regular radio, had like 4 or 5 transistors, and they were big tubes, and they were big. And a TV, was the screen was this big, and the TV was this big to hold the few transistors, the big tubes. Now our cell phone has over 1 billion transistors. We've got them so micro and small, and they think it's totally from reverse engineering on the Roswell incident, because right after that is when we started making this advancement in technology. In the last 70 years, we went from freaking, huge TVs to thin plasma iPhones with as much knowledge as the space shuttle or when we went to the moon. I mean, our technology has grown so fast in that years that it's like, how did this happen? How did we suddenly get so smart in a small amount of time? And again, the question is
how. They say too, fiber optic cable.
Fiber optic is another one that came in. Yes.
Yeah. That guy, Bob Lazar, you probably heard of him. He said he worked there at S4 or whatever it was. And he was saying like
Area
how
51, south of Area 51. But his claim to fame is he mentioned element 115 4 years. He mentioned it. It was discovered in 2004 by our scientists. But in 1998, he gave an interview and said, we have element 115 that was the aliens gave it to us, and that's how they power. Blah blah blah.
I would have been more impressed if he gave it a name than just an element number, because they're always discovering new elements and they go in sequential order. So I could say,
Well, that's true,
I
but
could say they're going to discover element 129 or whatever the next number is in the table of elements.
that is a
and
good point.
I'm a genius.
Yeah,
it's like, so.
I thought he give it. I thought he did say a name.
I don't think so. He always just said element 115. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
They call it's like
something.
Moscananium or something like that. Yeah, is the
like
name of it.
Unreliable or something.
But the name, yeah, because I think it was discovered or they proved it real in Moscow, so they named it Moscananium, I think. Yeah.
Element 115. Let's see what they say here. I'll bring it up. Moscovinium is a synthetic chemical element with the symbol MC, atomic number 115, fully synthesized in 2003 from a joint team in Russia and American scientists. So it was joint. Institute for Nuclear Research. And that's where they found it, according to this.
So, yeah, there's a psychiatrist on YouTube, Dr. Grande. He did a thing on Bob Lazar, and he made some good points. Like, he might just be lying, but he could have taken the story from someone that actually was there, and he's just living vicariously through someone,
Absolutely.
Because the one thing he said, like you said, about technology is like he said about how everything in the ship was like molded, like it was out of one piece, like it just melted, And he said if he had to do it again, he would say, oh, everything looked like it was 3D printed because we have that technology now. He was describing something he couldn't, understand, basically, Right.
Okay, dude, I got to get somebody else on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I've been blabbing. All right. It's awesome talking to you. I'll come back maybe next Sunday, and we'll give that limey a piece of our minds. All right.
All right, bud.
Bye.
All right. Who we got next here? Is it Christopher? No. 00 Devin?
Yeah, that's me.
What's happening?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is that a real bird in your window?
It's a decoration my girlfriend got, and I was vacuuming, accidentally bumped it and broke its beak off. I gotta fix it.
Oh, dude, you broke it because you were mad at her. Don't say you accidentally did it.
Oh, my story, and I'm sticking to it, man. It's really pretty.
Oh, that is cool. Is it made out of wood or?
It's made in probably a third world factory where they just press some wood chips they sweep up from the floor with glue and.
That looks like an easy fix, though.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm good at fixing things. So she paid $100 for it, so she wants me to fix it.
Yeah, no shit.
Anyway, I really like your show, man. I learned some things from you, and I don't always agree with everything you say, but mostly I do, and I really like your content.
Man, you gotta agree with everything. Fuck that.
Well, I'll compensate with that because I've been giving some thought to your Earning the Hate intros. And I was thinking, if you wanted to make an acronym out of it, Earning the Hate is the first 3 letters to ethics. So you could say police ethics, Earning the Hate, enforcing crappy statutes.
Oh, yeah.
Because ETHICS, Earning the Hate, enforcing crappy statutes. Just an idea. Maybe you can think of a better one, but it's just something that I kind of was thinking of.
So where are you at?
I regret to say I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, so you're behind enemy lines.
Yeah, man. I tried to get out. I'm moving slowly but surely. I was in New York.
To move, yeah.
I was in New York for a long time, since 2007, and came from Indiana actually originally. Didn't even know what I was giving up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you get, you go to these places and the big city, the buildings, the opportunity, the nightlife, you have everything. It's really cool because I like California and the weather was great and I could go to the mountains and be snowing and then I could drive for an hour and be at the ocean and be, playing. And it's just like, man, this is really cool. But over time, it's just like you get so beat down with this. You have to believe that everybody is good in the left and which bathroom to use. And if you want a gun, you're evil. And if you think this, and if you don't believe in diversity is our strength. And I mean, it's a beat down.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been to San Diego one time, long time ago when I was 15. So might not have been so bad then, but it's true. It's beautiful out there. The people are beautiful. Even the ugly people are beautiful. It's just really great. It's just too bad that they're making it
Liberalism, it's a
liberalism.
freaking disease, man. I mean, they just come in like locusts, eat everything up, work on everybody that worked and made the place great before they were there, and they tell everybody how wrong you got it and how much better we can make it. Then they destroy it, and then they flee to places like Texas and they try to do the same
They're gonna do the same thing
It's
there.
freaking crazy.
And they seed it in the cities, and it grows. It's crazy. So I just had some things I wanted to share with you too. Something I don't hear people talking about much. People talk all the time about common sense gun laws, like it's a nebulous idea. It sounds like it might be something genius in there.
Yeah.
I think there kind of already are common sense gun laws, but you don't might think of them as gun laws. Like you can't harass people, that's already illegal. You can't assault people, things like that. The hate speech thing. That one's kind of interesting because I kind of came up with my own original common sense gun law, and I'm working on a good name for it. It's not very catchy right now, but I call it loud mouths, no loud pipes.
Loud mouths, no loud pipes?
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's not very catchy, like I said, but the idea is if you can't stop yourself from shooting off your mouth, see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be shooting off a gun. And it's like the last that snowstorm incident that you reviewed recently.
Dude,
I agree
that was
completely
crazy.
with how you reviewed that. Yeah, it's like survival instincts. Where were they?
Yeah.
It's insane. And your words exactly. How did they survive that long in life?
Well, you know what? I think that a lot about a lot of liberals. I'm just kind of like, how do you live like that dude JP, man? He sounds like a really nice guy, and I could go have a beer with him. We could bullshit. I like him.
The
UK?
UK?
The JP from the UK?
Yeah.
Did you hear him?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I heard everything.
So, I mean, he seems like a really nice guy, but and I think he's pretty cool. We could laugh and we could joke, but he is how he can believe that his government is good and that government hires quality, he said, but they have to be diverse. And I'm like, dude, those are oxymorons. I mean, how can you say that I can't hire just quality, I have to hire diversity? That you got to give
he went on saying race and sex without even batting an eye like that, but of course that's
like
equality.
that's normal because and that's how I think they're programmed.
It's programmed,
in the UK, in these liberal countries, that's just like I mean in California, I remember I walk into 7-Eleven and if a girl's behind me, I'd open the door and wait for her, and they'd have an attitude. They'd be like, "I can open the door myself. I don't need you," and I'm like, "Fuck, whatever." I'm just trying to be nice. I mean, I don't want to get in a fucking argument with you because I held the door, but it's just their mindset that how dare you think that I'm weaker and I need you. And there's just always this, I'm going to find a way to attack you if you don't believe like I do. The people who are the most intolerant claim that other people are intolerant. I'm like, liberals are the most intolerant people in the world. They hate everything that doesn't agree with them, and they want to crush you and get you fired and have you change your life for them. But they claim to be the tolerant ones, and I'm just like...
They do. They claim that they have all the virtue, and they're the do-gooders, and they're doing the most contemptible things and being so,
intolerant.
Lawless.
Yeah, intolerant and hate.
Hateful and lawless. Yeah. I meet some on the subway here in December, and I recorded them with my phone, had a little incident because...
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Sorry, I'm muted.
That's right. I was kind of surprised because I've been going back and forth from New Jersey to Queens in the subway, the PATH train and everything, and I haven't worn a mask one time. Supposedly there's a mandate. Yes, they said there's a mandate. Well, it's in the programming, you see. People, they go through the public fool system. I call it the fool system because it turns out fools that are only good enough to, be on the people farm.
Right.
And that's what's going on in the UK, and it's not really a surprise when you look at history. A lot of people don't know the history. A lot of Americans don't even know the American history. At the time around the Revolution, America was the world's largest importer of books on law. And there was a British Navy general that said to the king, "We can't prosecute the Americans because every layman is a lawyer. They can do mischief by night and then acquit themselves on juries by day." And
Good.
So, yeah. Well, where did that come from? This is my theory. Where it came from was it actually goes back to around the 14th century or the 1450s, because, and this might be a surprise, a lot of people wouldn't know this. Okay, well, let's work backwards. Okay, why did America become, so many things happen in America where if you go into court you can swear or affirm? Well, why do you affirm? It's because of the religious people that were reading in the Bible for the first time since the Gutenberg Bible was invented. They stopped listening to the Catholic Church. And this isn't even a very religious discussion. It's just their eyes were open. They heard words that went into their brain that were so clear and articulate and hit to the heart. They read the words first time that their Lord and Savior Jesus said to swear no oaths, because you can't turn one hair on your head white or black. And don't swear on the earth because it's a God's footstool. So when the king said you have to swear an oath of allegiance, and he was putting people in jail for not doing it because they were religious Puritans.
So are you saying religious people don't have a problem affirming, but they won't swear? Is that the theory?
Well, that's the theory, yeah, because swearing is something that Jesus said not to do. And there's a lot of religious people that'll swear and they have no idea about that scripture.
Yeah, a lot of people swear on the Bible all the time. You know, that's kind of what they do.
Right, they don't even
swear on the Bible. It's true.
Yeah. Well, I always affirm. You can write out affidavits with an it's an affirmation. So you can write it as I swear under penalty of perjury, or I affirm, solemnly affirm.
Right.
And it has the same legal force, and that was because of the religious Puritans and the Quakers in America. They had made sure that got into the Constitution and everything. So, but it goes back further than that, because why were there juries? Juries were kind of a thing that happened because of the English Civil War, which was just approximately 100 years before the American Revolution. And what happened was, for hundreds and hundreds of years, there were kings. And the idea was that there was a divine right of kings to rule because they were in a relative position by God, according to, I believe, the Apostle Paul in the Bible. Well, there's some other scriptures that the Puritans and the Quakers found that kind of said that God will wipe out any king that goes against his commands and mistreats the people. And so you've probably heard of Lord Cromwell the Protector.
Yep.
He was of the stringent sect of Christianity called the Puritans.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
He was just a 40-year-old regular bumpkin, a farmer actually. But when it came time that King James I was causing so much trouble and he had disbanded Parliament for 11 years and he was acting directly as a tyrant and people were getting sick of him, then he realized he needed Parliament to try to parlay and appease the people, but that didn't work for a while, so he disbanded them again. People got so angry and so upset with him and all the injustice, and they got some of their ideas of what justice was from the Bible because people were starting to read the Bible. They could afford it. Some of the better off families could afford it finally because of movable type was invented by Gutenberg. Then what happened was they had a civil war, and they locked up King James I. Then he escaped and he went with the royalists, and they had a short second civil war, very short, where they locked him up again, and that was when even Cromwell was in favor of the divine right of kings. But when he had to go and get him again, they decided probably they need to cut his head off, because as long as he's around, there's not going to be peace. But going back a little bit, how Cromwell rose in power was because he was basically a commoner. And at that time, they had universal suffrage, which meant there were men and women who couldn't vote on things unless they owned land, unless they were a lord or an earl or whatever, right?
Right.
So what happened was Cromwell formed an army against King James I of common men. They weren't gentlemen, and they didn't dress nice, but they were so orderly, he wouldn't even allow them to argue with each other using contemptible words. And that's the exact reason for that is because in Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, "You heard that you must not murder, but I say to you," he's skipping a little bit, "I say to you, anyone who uses an unspeakable word of a contempt against his brother would be liable to the fiery hell." Not even the Supreme Courts, which Jesus did mention, the Supreme Justices, and there was escalation of offenses, and it was all first what you might consider First Amendment speech offenses, but they were the kind of speech that would be tending to violate what Jesus kind of set up as the highest law, the law of love. which in legalese, the legal word for love is care. Like you have a duty of care to fulfill your contracts and so on and so forth.
Oh,
And it's a nice word because it kind of subtracts the amorous connotations of the word love, and it gets to the point of being what is lawful. And so that's kind of what's behind. I say it's my own original common sense gun law. Well, I kind of stole it from Jesus actually, because I mean, if your words do incite violent actions, then yeah, your violent actions are going to be what gets you. But if they could, people can foresee that someone is starting to get out of control. You know, it doesn't take a genius to say if someone's coming at you with a crazy look in their eye and a meat cleaver in their hand, or even if they're not coming with weapons or anything like that, but they're saying that they're going to do unlawful things. It seems prudent to take away the means that they have to fulfill those unlawful things that they say they'll do.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I
don't mean like at a felony level, like it's for life, but take them away for 6 months.
Yeah, I don't like that. See, I think freedom is important enough, because then you get into, well, if a guy has a car, he's got to get gas, and then if he could use that gas to burn somebody, and he went around and said, I'm going to be an arsonist, then we should take away his ability to buy gas, and therefore he can't have a car, or he can't heat his house, or he can't do anything. We'll with gas, and we'll take away anything else that he can cause flames. And so, what's the difference between a gun or a flame, or then
I'm
you
not
get into a knife?
Well, I hear you, and it's a common argument that where, you know, people can do horrible things with a car, and you don't ban car companies and things like that. I'm not going after the instrument. I'm only, because all of us have an awesome potential to build up or to destroy, but it's what's in the mind and what's in the heart. And when someone speaks,
what's thought crime? That's I mean, if I say I would like to kill you because I don't agree with you, should the cops come here because I'm in Texas and take away my guns and take away my knives?
We know that you don't have the present capacity to act out that threat, so it wouldn't really be a threat, even according to.
Okay, so let's say I live in New Jersey and I say that, then.
You don't have, if you had the present capacity, maybe, but my point is this, though. There's a scripture that also says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. As soon as you vocalize your intentions, like I pepper sprayed a guy who happened to be an ex-blood gangster, and he was shot in the stomach with a 12-gauge shotgun. And I said, God bless you, you survived it. That's amazing. But he turned and he had PTSD and some issues, and I had to pepper spray him in the face. But the whole time he was saying, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to F you up. I'm going to hurt you. Well, he let me know his intentions. Now I don't have to guess what his intent is. So establishing intent is part of, I mean, I was never a cop or anything, but that's
angry and go, man, if somebody did that to my kid, I'd kill him.
That's a hypothetical. A threat is not a hypothetical. A threat is like when someone says, I'm going to kill you, and I'm holding a knife in my hand, and I'm just across the street. You could probably get away, but that would probably be a crime of threatening, because a reasonable person would feel like, hey, this guy could really actually do that, and I better get the heck out of Dodge.
He says, I'm going to kill you, maybe not today, but someday, and he walks into his house. Should you be able to go take away his knives and guns and things that he could use to kill you?
I'm going to kill you someday. I would say, look, if I was a judge in the case, I would agree with taking away his weapons for a period of time, okay, like a probationary time. Because here's the thing. We want to live in a peaceful society. And I agree that man, although he may have spoken foolishly, has the right to defend himself.
So if you take his guns and he runs you over with a car, what did you accomplish?
Well, I made his means of killing me or harming me less expedient.
Okay,
I mean, because the bullet travels a lot faster than a car.
After a few people lose their guns and they start killing people with cars, then I think people that agree with taking away guns are going to say we should take away their cars too, because obviously if we take away their guns, they're going to start using cars.
If he came at me with his car, I would say that, but I wouldn't go taking away everything that's conceivably. So
if he came at you with a screwdriver or a rake handle, should we take away rakes and screwdrivers?
If he came at me with those tools, could take it away from him, but not. You don't punish good people for what bad people do, obviously. But
okay, we agree with that.
So, my point is, I mean, you know better than me that there's bad people out there, because I didn't
Absolutely.
even, and so, you know, I should have the right to protect myself. And
Unless somebody feels threatened by you and they want to take away that right from
well,
you.
not just the mere feeling though. They would have to be actually threatened. And I would
But
consider
if I get
myself.
a couple witnesses that say I heard you threaten me and you don't have a witness, and now we take your guns because you believe in taking guns.
That's an interesting case where if you have more witnesses, then I guess if you're part of a organized group that's willing to do that, then that's not good, obviously. But
that's why I'm against the Pandora's box of where do you stop when you allow people to start choosing who gets to have guns and who does, who says who can choose and what's right and whatever. I think you charge people with actions. If a guy says a gun and wants to come kill me, I'm going to say, if you come kill me, I got a gun, I'm going to shoot you and I'll defend myself.
Okay,
but
well,
I don't think the government should step in and suddenly start taking away his right, or if a girlfriend says, I'm going to burn your house down, that we should necessarily take away her ability to create fire because she said that.
All right, well, listen to this. In New Jersey, one of the elements of the crime of assault, depending on which level of assault it is fear. And you can be assaulted without even being touched, according to the letter of the statute. And what's the injury? The injury is fear. No man has the right to put you and to control your mind, to distract your mind from constructive thoughts to ones of fear.
Government does that to me every day. I can't drive without fear of being pulled over, ticketed, arrested, costed. I mean, government puts fear in my mind all the time, but it's okay.
Well, I would say it's unlawful for government to do that also, because maybe there's a distinction between what's a written codified law and what's lawful, as far as like fundamental, what's right and wrong. It's wrong for government or anybody to make you feel fear without a just cause. If the guy's coming at if someone's coming at you, with weapons or with karate black belt, whatever it is, and he's putting you into fear, well, then he's taking the aggressive stance to put you into fear. It's not you just having an eggshell syndrome where you're just weak-minded and fearful of everything.
So if BLM tells me they're going to call my employer and get me to lose my job unless I put up, I support Black Lives Matter, is that creating fear, and should they be held?
I think that would be a threat that wouldn't necessarily be of bodily harm, but it would be a threat that would put you in fear.
I'm pretty sure that happens every day, 1,000 times a day.
It probably it may, and so those things are tricky.
Taking freedom should be tricky, and
taking freedom should be tricky.
Yeah, that's my. I think that's where you kind of. I think you're at the point to where you're looking at everything in a reasonable perspective from a reasonable man.
Right.
You don't look reasonably at how power corrupts absolutely. And when government gives an inch, they're allowed to take a mile. And you're given the benefit of the doubt that if we have these laws to where reasonable people can take reasonable action and take guns from reasonable people or people being unreasonable, you don't factor in. There's a whole bunch of people that will use that for their own benefit, won't be usual, and a lot of people's freedoms will be seized because you're looking at it in a myopic that reasonable people should be able to take guns from people who threaten people.
All right, then I wouldn't take away their right to trial and their right to trial by a jury. And so that's an interesting thing. If you had a group
when you're taking guns, do they have a right to trial? I mean, they haven't committed.
I think they should be.
Well, what's a crime? Are you saying to take somebody's gun that has to be a crime?
No. So according to there's if you say something, if you say, like, take for example the snow shovel people, you effer, I'm gonna make your life a living hell and all this kind of stuff.
Is that a crime?
It is, because he put him in fear. That's unlawful.
How do you know he put him in fear? Maybe the guys heard him say that 20 times and went, "Fuck you, I'll make your life miserable."
Well, you're right. I don't know that, because only he could make that claim.
Correct.
So, and I think that he should have made the claim, and then those idiots could have got to live another day. And if that guy could have had his guns taken away for a period of 3 months, 6 months, as painful and as butthurt as he would be about it, I think we could probably agree. Now, I know what you're saying, the Pandora's box thing. I don't think that this is a Pandora's box, because especially when you have video evidence, a jury of 12 is surely going to agree, yeah, this person reasonably had cause to be afraid that this guy was going to be up to doing something. It was obviously not the first time they met. I'm gonna come out here, and he challenged him to a fight. Okay, what if this guy, he wakes up in the morning, he's minding his business, he's trying to go to the mailbox, and the guy ambushes him, because he was allowed to go on this progression of escalated evil thoughts. But if someone came along and gave him a slap on the hand and said, hey, you can't do that, we're going to take your guns away, hopefully no one comes at you and tries to treat you like you were treating your neighbors, and we consider ourselves, the rest of society, to be reasonable men. That's the reasonable men doctrine. Yes, there could be evil that might want to come after him, and it wouldn't be a surprise based off of the way he was treating people either, I guess. But
you're talking about taking the guns from the guy who was the victim of the fear.
No, I'm talking about the guy who is going out and standing in the middle of the street.
So the guys with the snow shovel,
the man and his wife,
guns, you would want to go take their guns and snow shovels?
Yes, I would, because they were the aggressors. They
weren't the ones that ended up pulling a gun and killing people.
That's true, but they certainly provoked that occurrence from their foolish, loud mouths.
So you think the guy with the gun was justified?
No, I wouldn't say that. What I'm saying is, what the guy with the gun that went and murdered his neighbors should have done was filed a suit, and under my idealistic,
tell you to let the system work. The problem is the system is slow, it doesn't work, and it doesn't take into what happens prior, what's happened in the heat of the moment, and what happens afterwards. And that's the fallacy in depending on government.
It is slow.
People need to be self-reliant and take care of. This guy took care of himself. I think he overreacted. I think he was crazy.
He overreacted.
I think he flipped, and I think he killed somebody over something that was pretty stupid. But
I think he didn't want to kill him at first, too. I think that he missed on purpose in the beginning. And that's why the guy actually got emboldened and stayed in the middle of the street with his wife, because he thought, oh, see, you're just going to bluff? Okay, so I'm all right now.
Theory. I couldn't figure out any reason somebody would stand there with somebody shooting at him.
Yeah, he said that's how I saw it when I watched it. I thought that he felt emboldened, like, you don't have the guts. You don't have the guts. You're not going to do it. I mean, that's a stupid person that's going to think that way, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. That's not a very survival smart move. That's not a good way to make it.
But,
hey, guy, I got a couple other people waiting to get in. I really enjoyed the talk, though, man. Is there any other point you want to make before we end this?
Yeah, there is, actually. I wanted to talk to you about the COVID situation, because
I'm going to try to get my video banned talking about the V word.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize. I never made it. Okay, so yeah, we'll call it CV19. CV19. Okay, so even in the MTA doesn't actually use that word. They don't use it. They say stop the spread. Stop the spread of what? Common sense?
So are you anti-mask?
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
and the reason
anti-vaccine?
And it's so 100%.
Okay.
My girlfriend,
you think COVID is kind of a big scam?
100%. It's people control. It's just a fantastic opportunity to control people. Like, why would all the governments in the world want to do this? Because all the governments in the world want to have more reasons to control you. Obviously, they have the same singular motive. How could that escape your notice? I talk to people, all the time. I helped my girlfriend get her green card with a religious exemption from vaccination. Because of the Book of Deuteronomy and so on and so forth. I wouldn't have to go into all that.
Let me ask you, if you get a religious exemption from vaccination, they got that little app now that they're trying to promote that you can use to get into concerts to show that you're...
I would never get that.
I know, I wouldn't either. But if they make it to where if you get in a restaurant, you got to have this card, I wonder if they'll give you a religious exemption on that app.
The sad thing is people don't know their rights. They don't know laws. They don't have common sense. They don't know nothing about fundamentals of law. And so they're so weak. And that's where, as much as I love gun people and, the Second Amendment is great.
People and uneducated people.
That's it.
Yeah.
Your greatest weapon against tyranny actually is your First Amendment, your freedom of speech. But people need to use articulate speech, which is why I appreciate you and me having this conversation in our little college debate here about things, because it's important to be able to communicate people, to get ideas across so they actually penetrate to their brain and they go, aha, I get it. Makes sense. And then, knowledge can spread. And I talk to people all the time. I talk to people on the subway, and I wish I was more vocal. I don't want to be like an activist, but I feel like by being quiet, I'm doing myself injury, And so I tell people, you heard of the 5 monkeys experiment? You probably know about it. It's where they put 5 monkeys into a test area, and then they put a hand of bananas at the top of a ladder, and the experimenter sprays them all with cold water when they try to get the bananas until they're operant conditioned into not chasing the bananas anymore. They take one of the monkeys away. They put a new monkey in that wasn't trained. He tries to go for the bananas. You know what happens? The other 4 beat the hell out of him.
Right here on my website, I have that experiment and I explain it, and there's a video.
Okay. Then I'll stop explaining it because
no. I mean, other people may not know about it, and I refer to that quite often as the 5 monkey experiment, because people are kind of like, at the end they ask the monkeys, why doesn't nobody go for the monkey, and the other monkeys that they put in, when they put new monkeys in, nobody will go for the banana. It's kind of like it's always been done that way. We just don't go for it because every time we did before, we got beat up, but those monkeys are gone. So it's a great little experiment, and
it's so accurate, even though it wasn't probably. There's argument about whether it was even a real experiment, but
correct.
Either way, everyone knows it's true.
Yeah,
it's accurate about human nature until all the original monkeys are gone, and then all the inherited monkeys, they'll keep on beating up people until generation after generation, and they'll never know why. They just know this is just the way it's been done. So when you if you go into the MTA subway. Can I share my screen with you a little bit? I took a whole bunch of pictures of the subway.
Yeah. When you say MTA, for the people that don't know, what is that?
MTA stands for, it's a New York subway, basically. Metro Transit something, right? So I'm going to share my screen. I don't know which screen it's going to share. First time I did this.
Are you on StreamYard or are you on YouTube?
Oh, okay. I'm going to share audio too, just in case. I'm on the app that's under your YouTube thing, whatever that is.
I don't know.
StreamYard. Yes, StreamYard. Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Do you see it? Do you see my screen? A whole bunch of pictures, like a million pictures?
I have to share it. Hang on, I have to add it.
Okay, got it. All right. All right. So, to me, if you want to talk about hate speech, check this out.
Don't be that person.
Can you believe that? Okay, now check this out. It was no joke. It was just coincidence. It was in 1984 that some scientists, 4 psychologists, got together, and they were trying to figure out how do monkeys learn the fear of snakes, because you can't evolutionarily inherit a gene for it, because all the monkeys got bit by poisonous snakes died from it. What they learned was they learn their fears by watching other more experienced monkeys, if they're baby monkeys especially, by emotional fear expressions. So distress calls, climbing up and down the side of a cage trying to get away from the snake, even if it's a rubber snake, right? Look at the eyes. And you taught me also with the police, a target glance. They're looking at the threat.
Oh, yeah.
They're all looking at the threat.
Yeah.
And look at the distress in their eyebrows. Oh, something's worrying me. Fear. Be afraid. Don't be that person. Well, I'm not that person because I don't.
There's a lot of propaganda out there for sure, and government's a master of propaganda. I mean, let's face it, they got a lot of practice.
It's so simple. You don't even need words, even though they translate it to every language spoken in New York practically, to understand the symbolism of the distress. This guy's surrounded. Okay, don't be that person.
And this guy's got a frown because everybody's looking at him and he's feeling bad.
He's being judged. Yeah. Well, people get beat up in New York if they're not wearing a mask.
Oh, get out. No,
man. 2 guys, it was a 67-year-old man and his boy confronted me on the subway. And they were set to beat me up.
Get out.
Yeah, and then this real cute girl in the background, and I took a video of it. So I made a whole thing with all these pictures. So I'm about to post to the YouTube. I'll share it with you. So, oh, did I stop sharing? No longer
No,
sharing?
I turned you off. I didn't know you were going to change something. It was the same
Oh
picture.
yeah, I got more.
Oh, okay.
So one of the other things is, why is it yellow? Why is it? Because it's banana colored.
Well,
Because it's bananas.
yellow is warning, like for yellow light warning. That's
Well, my counter propaganda is it's banana colored because it's bananas. Stop being a trained monkey. That's what I would say.
okay.
So I edited this one to show the
The target glance.
target glance, exactly. Now this one's funny. This time it already passed. I thought this was interesting because 6 feet apart. Are they rolling it up or are they rolling it down? I think they're rolling it up because they're not wearing a mask. And here's an old person not wearing a mask. It's a weird advertisement.
I thought she was wearing a mask. The blue lady has a mask on. No?
This guy?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. As you blew in. Okay, you can see his face. I thought he had a mask on. Okay.
Yeah. And they were. This is supposed to be the last day you could see this. It was at a museum, February 14th, 2021. And I don't know. I don't have much to say about the whole Chinese thing, but I just found it interesting that the Chinese economy was related to that. But that's not my point. That's just a intriguing thing. There's all these stickers on the floor when you go to the subways. Oh, here's another one of those. Don't be that person. Here you go. You got 6 of them surrounding this guy. And look at this guy here. This dude has anger issues.
Oh shit.
So hold on.
Look, man, they're just trying to keep you safe. Why don't you cut off some slack, man? They're trying to keep you safe.
This is what I call a true believer. Because people are just afraid they're going to get the $50 recommended fine, which I would decline the recommendation if I was ever recommended. I talk to cops in the subway, inside the subway. They don't bother me. I'm not wearing a mask.
Is there a $50 fine for not wearing a mask?
Hell if I know. They keep on advertising it, but
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing. Now there's another one I wanted to show you. It's really good. I think should be this one. Okay. I call this one How to Be Antifa in 4 Easy Steps. You know what I mean? And
Hey,
this right here.
Government promoting face masks, because it to me, the government was anti-face mask before this. They didn't want you covering your face. Matter of fact, you could get stopped and challenged just for covering your face. Now it's the opposite.
Yeah, I'm okay with people wearing face masks and even them promoting it too, but when they start mandating it, like I'm the government's property, that just seems strange. And maybe I'm young and dumb and healthy, but I don't feel right being told what to put on my face. I think that this is like, I call this a flag of surrender. People fly their flag at full mast. If you don't fly your flag at full mast, then you're going to get harassed like that other guy. If you go outside with a mask on your neck, people will jump at you before you even get out your own building. It's crazy. It's easier if you just don't even wear a mask at all. If you have a mask, keep it in your pocket, But
dude, I got to get to some other people, man.
Yep, I understand. I appreciate you.
Brother. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry, Sasha, I think you've been here for a while, so we're going to get you.
I'll stop sharing.
Sasha, are you there? Hello? She might have left. Sasha?
Well, I'm here. Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can. You are up next. What's your point or message here?
Well, I kind of wanted to get back to the UFO subject. That's where it kind of started.
I kind of like that too. Let's go.
Have you ever heard of the Cash-Landrum incident?
Cash-Landrum.
It happened in Texas in 1980. I was a dispatcher at the sheriff's department just west of the location where it happened. Now, what you will read on Wikipedia and other stuff has a bunch of caca in it. It just allegedly the lady said some things or did some things that we later found out just wasn't true. But this was really interesting because most of my family was in law enforcement or the courts in Harris County, and I had an uncle who was a city councilman during the Mercury astronaut days. And so I was familiar kind of with the thinking and how things went. And I was on duty in dispatch that night along with 3 others, and the phones just lit up and went crazy. We had reports, there's a fire in East County, the whole sky's lit up. You got to get some people out there. It's a big fire. And we got at least a couple of dozen calls. Now, this is 1980. You have older phone systems. You didn't have headphones or anything like that. We were lucky to have a foot pedal for the radio. And, but in all of the calls, nobody could tell us where this fire was. Now, I've had a lot of fire calls, but eventually you get a location. Somebody's car explodes or something else. And nobody could give us a location. Well, it's out there. You can't miss it. The whole sky's lit up. And then the calls just stopped. I mean, just stopped. And we all kind of looked at each other and we started calling people back. Did you ever get a locate? Can you see it? Do you know where the fire is? No, it's gone. I mean, I don't know where it is. We had officers that we sent out there. It's like it just disappeared. Well, the next morning, this Cash-Landrum incident hit the papers. It was in the papers the next morning. It was just over the eastern part of our county line between New Caney and Dayton. And at that time in the wooded areas in Texas, and I can say I lived in a wooded area, my house backed up to the woods. We had all kinds of Army vehicles. We had a lot of government projects going in, Apache helicopters, Chinooks. I remember had a flat tire downtown and one soldier stopped to help me out with it, which I was eternally grateful because I just really didn't want to have to deal with that. And, there were helicopters surrounding this. All I can say is by today's standards, relatively clunkery, triangle-shaped object in the sky that kind of drove this object off into another direction. Well, these people, the Cashes and the Landrums, or I should say Ms. Cash and Ms. Landrum and her son, were in a car that encountered it in the middle of the road. And they had gotten out of the car and approached the object. At least one lady did. I think it was Miss Cash. And
on Wikipedia, I'm reading this. It says there was 23 helicopters.
Well, I don't know what the count was, but there was enough of them to drive whatever this object was off into whatever direction they wanted it to go. I can't remember if they went east or west. But I guess my point is, my opinion and that of a whole lot of other people, and you have to remember, especially the deputies in those days, I mean, as far as the mindset, I don't know what they are now. They were not UFO oriented, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And, but they saw these people about a week later, and they told me, they said these people were burned. They were burned badly. It doesn't, they say, I've never seen a radiation burn up close. I've seen pictures of it, but it looked very much like radiation burns. This is really one of the more famous incidents, aside from what would be Betty and Barney Hill, which is a very interesting story.
That was interesting, where they were abducted and taken and supposedly, you know, done tests on and had skin. And
well, what was also interesting, going back to Cash-Landrum, anyway, it was, these people were burned. I mean, I don't think that the deputies lied to me when they said we saw them. They're burned. We don't know what happened, but I mean, it's kind of the opinion that if this were a real alien craft, there's no way that the helicopters are going to be able to do what they did. I mean, it's a lot of people's thinking that most of these are government projects of some kind. And certainly not all. We got the technology somewhere, which kind of leads to Betty and Barney Hill. And also, if you look up in the private chat, you'll see a link to something that Dr. Joseph Farrell, who does a lot of research on this, about the Nazi bell and the transistors that you mentioned, and the miniaturization of a lot of technology that occurred as early as the 1920s. And discussing Betty and Barney Hill, there was a movie, a TV movie, I think it was, made about that some years ago. I think James Earl Jones was Barney Hill. I can't remember the lady who played his wife. They cut a very interesting part out of that movie, or didn't include it. The psychiatrist had asked him under hypnosis, if he saw these beings, that were experimenting on him when he went there. And he said, yes. And I said, well, what did they look like? And the answer was really surprising. He told them, and this is in the book, unless they've changed it, he said they look like Nazis. And the psychiatrist said, well, what makes you say that? Well, they were dressed with the black uniforms with some kind of red insignia. He didn't say it was a swastika. He said he didn't remember. The color of the hair, the eyes, although some, were dark haired, but he said they look like Nazis, which kind of goes to the technology of a lot of this. And back to Operation Paperclip. And, a lot of people, like I said, my uncle was a city councilman here in Houston during the Mercury astronaut days. Well, gee, where was all of that centered? In Houston, so much of it. With Frank Sharp of Sharpstown. And no, I don't think so. Nazis do exist. And, it's the people that they brought over to really head up our space program were straight out of the Second World War, out of Nazi Germany. You had Werner von Braun, who was, for all intents and purposes, the leader of NASA and director of space operations at that time. And what was interesting about Roswell that Dr. Farrell talks about is they brought von Braun to the scene and a couple of other guys. And von Braun didn't say anything, but a couple of the other people that they brought to the scene says, with a couple of exceptions, all the things that we're finding they don't look alien as much as they do what we found with the Nazis. And I just thought that was very interesting, and probably, excuse me, the most interesting part of Nazi technology, and the one that I chase the most, is something called the Nazi bell. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I have. It's they were doing anti-gravity type stuff, and some people say they were trying to get close to time travel or something, but they
free energy. Yeah, free energy. And I've also found some links between General Patton's movements at the end of World War II, just after the war, to the location where this bell was and all of those scientists were, which is Pilsen, a part of Poland now. And I find that really interesting, given his personality and all. If anybody was going to push his men to find this location and get anything that might be there, it would be Patton. They would send him. But also, Patton, in their mind, was kind of expendable. After he was done, he had a big mouth and he tended to be temperamental. So as brilliant as he was, you know, you look at what happened, and all of a sudden he's showing up in Pilsen when Eisenhower told him not to go to Poland. And so I'm just wondering if they brought back some of that research, because it virtually, at least according to records, disappeared. And I don't believe that for a second. I don't think it went to Argentina either. I think the US and Russia and probably Israel, all three shared that particular technology. I can't prove it, but that's just a thought. But yeah, we had the Cash-Landrum incident here in Texas.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it till you mentioned it. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's up here now on the screen, and I kind of read through it. And a lot of what you're saying is kind of in the Wikipedia page. They also mention that MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. They're kind of like they're the ones that did that show Hangar One. It's all MUFON technology. So anyway, pretty interesting that you were there, and you know, some of the people, it looks like they sued the government for $20 million.
No.
And the government dismissed their suit because they said they couldn't prove that the helicopters were owned by the government or the triangle was owned by the government. And since they couldn't prove that, they dismissed their lawsuit, which
Of course.
is easy. I mean, who else is going to have 23 freaking Chinook helicopters?
Exactly.
Ain't the freaking government, really?
And they had Apaches too. We had a lot of the Apaches around the Conroe area and stuff like that. So
what's the closest military army base to where you were at that time?
there was no legitimate base.
Oh.
That's just it.
Huh.
It was a place where they were going to, quote, temporarily, unquote, house some helicopters. But we had all kinds of people running around that we'd never seen before. You have to remember, it was a little bit smaller. It was a whole lot smaller place than it is now. And you pretty much knew strangers when they were in town. It kind of reminds me of Close Encounters of the Third Kind when, you know, the officer asked that woman, you know, have you seen any strangers in town? That just cracked me up. But, you know, so
it looks like this person, Joseph Cornell, that's on here, wants you to contact him. Or, I mean, I'm assuming your name is your.
No, my name, you know, that's what I've used on the script. Well, for one thing, the little icon I have up there, that's our new Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, dressed in Sharon Stone's dress. I thought a little humor might help the subject. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. But no, I mean, there's really nothing I can tell anyone except
if you can search this guy's name, he wants to contact you. I don't know why. Joseph Cornell, that's his YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and type in that, his little icon ought to come up. And if you click on it, you can go give him a message directly.
Well, I'll go talk to him. There's not a whole lot I can tell him, but
he may have some questions. I don't know.
These people were definitely burned and definitely hurt. And just because you can't prove the government did it, it's like you said, I mean, who else is going to have all those helicopters, you know, surrounding this particular object, whatever it was. I mean, it even scarred the road. It was so hot. So, you know, there was all kinds of evidence, the heat factor. But also, I mean, if you're very interested in UFO and the funding for it that started back,
funding's all secret after 1947. You can't.
Well, that's it, and where the money is coming from or came from originally, and used over and over again. There was a young man in Australia that found some records that kept trying to, this was a couple of years back, and they were definitely of that time period. He put them up on the screen, and he kept trying to call the White House to tell them that, you know, the Bushes were in on this, and all of a sudden he's never heard from again. And I don't know, either they took his channel down or they took him down, but you know, it goes way back. This is not something that's recent, but I think Betty and Barney Hill are very interesting. I think that young man out of Arizona is very interesting. There's too many things that have happened. The question is, what technology is it? I tend to think, I go toward the Nazi technology, but then that brings you into the question, where did they get it? Did they just, all of a sudden have some major brain, some genius aha moment? Because all of this occurred pretty quickly. And, you kind of have to wonder, and look who's in charge of the space program here and who has been for many years. And I find, Dr. von Braun's warning about what they're going to do, allegedly, according to him, this warning to Carol Rosin, who worked with him. I don't remember the exact order. He says, first, they're going to blame things on terrorists. Then it's going to be rogue nations. And then I think asteroids came into play. And the last one, I'm missing one here. Russians. I think Russians were in there, or the Soviet Union. Then there was going to be the terrorists, and then the rogue nations, then asteroids. And he says the final step will be a false alien invasion.
Yeah.
Now,
yep, that'll bring all the nations together. I mean, there's some theories out there that's in, and there's people who have leaked government plans, and the government always has these kind of off the wall brainstorming plans that we want to just brainstorm what if and how can, etc. So people will write these things, and then sometimes they get leaked. And somebody wrote something about, hey, if we staged an alien invasion, that would bring the country together. We could seize power. We could tell people to stay inside. We would gain control. We could tell people we're fighting a war. It would unite people. We could do what we needed to do under the cover of we're protecting them from the alien invasion. That was written by somebody in our government. One of the documents was leaked that wasn't redacted. So there is that theory out there that somebody did write it, has it, and whether or not it's really a plan or not, I don't know.
Well, my late ex-husband did 2 tours in Vietnam. He was a Navy medic. And he said, even then, they had things that you never heard of back here in the States. They had technology even then. And, it just, and he tried to tell me these things. He says the CIA was really very open about it over there, because, I mean, why not say something? Because they're just going to call you a conspiracy theorist anyway. And, he had a really tough time talking about it because the only other people you could really talk to were other vets that experienced it, because all the normies back here in the United States that didn't have to fight for their dinner had no understanding and just called you crazy. So after a while, he just quit talking about it. And, I question where this technology actually showed up on our shores. And, a lot of this can be traced back, to very ancient history, further back than anything that our history books really talk about what we were taught in school. We did have world history, and we did talk about the Sumerians, and we did talk about the Phoenicians, but of course, the UFO subject was not in there. So I
got a couple other guests that I got to get on.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I love your questions.
Appreciate you sharing. And
by the way, I work for a veterinarian that treats only cats. And which is interesting. I don't know that Smokey's ever had a dental before. I just got my.
He hasn't. Yeah.
He hasn't.
No.
You might want to consider it. It really has helped. You know what cats that I have. I had one die because I neglected that, and I wish I really hadn't. But he lived to be 17, so and he had a roof over his head. So
Yeah, that's pretty
but
cool.
anyway, love the horses, love the place, and the cat. You take care, Rick.
Okay, thanks for calling. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
All right, who's next? Is it Adam? Hang on, I gotta unmute you, Adam. Now you can talk. Adam, oh shit, I unmuted Damon. Sorry, or Dodrick. Adam, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, what's happening?
Oh man, I've been listening to all this. I had a lot of input earlier, but man, I just let you handle that. Yeah, I want to talk about government and corruption, man.
Well, shit,
And all this QAnon conspiracy crap. I don't think we'd even known about QAnon if it wasn't for the media. The media is the one that talked about QAnon. I was, for years didn't even know nothing about it during the Trump administration. And right there toward the end, everybody's like, well, this person's QAnon or QAnon or whatever. And I'm like, well, what is QAnon? I don't even know what it is. So I went looking it up and found it all, and I'm like you. I take in all the information I can. I assimilate it, and it don't mean it's true. Everything you see on TV or look up on the internet's not true till you actually find fact. But I found out early on that QAnon was, just conspiracy. But I couldn't believe that some of the elected officials actually believed in it. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, look, there's all kind of. I'm not a big Q person. I know a lot of people quote him and talk about him, but as far as whether he's legit or not, I've seen just from picking it up through osmosis from hearing things that he's kind of the theories have been wrong more than they've been right. Now I could be wrong. There may be some out there. Man, he's right all the time, but I don't know a whole bunch about him, so I really can't comment on him.
I'm like you. I just quit, even listening to a lot of that unless it comes up. I mean, they come up today. They're calling it I think it was CBS had a report with some I don't know, high level. I don't know if it's FBI or CIA or what, but anyways, he's been doing a research on Q, and they listed as evangelist QAnons. And I'm like, evangelist? That's talking about Christians.
Yeah,
so,
I haven't heard that, so I don't know.
And then, all the comments down through there, I read underneath when I went to YouTube and looked that up. All the comments people had to say was, oh, y'all trying to make us into a holy war now? Is that what the media's trying to do? And they're the ones bringing up Q all the time. And that dude even specified, that, out of, like you said, 300 million people, this is like 100/10% of the people that actually believe, in Q. It's a very, very small group. But even with the what they consider evangelist QAnons, which, more government corruption, I think, if you ask me, it's probably some CIA agent working behind the scenes.
Well, and there's a lot of people that are commenting on that, saying that, and look, government has a complete, a huge part of their agenda is to put out misinformation and to put out false information to keep people from knowing what the truth and what is false. And then that way there's less people focusing on the truth or trying to catch them in a scam, or they can use it to feed false information to other countries thinking we're going this direction when we're actually going in this direction. So, misinformation has always been around in all military tactics.
Exactly, man. It's a big pony show up on Washington, D.C. right now on the Hill. And, that Q conspiracy thing gets people to looking away from, the bigger picture, like you said. So, and it gets the world looking away. But man, I tell you what, it was another thing I wanted to share with you. I don't know if I could do like he did, but I'll try and share that screen I've got over there. Here, I'll just share my screen. Switch over to it. All right. The Constitution of the State of Georgia.
It's not sharing on mine. I don't see it.
You don't see it yet?
No. Usually it'll pop up down the bottom.
Here it is right here. See that now? Constitution? Nope. No? Well. Oh, I got to click it there. I see now.
Yep, there it came.
All right. Constitution, State of Georgia.
Yep.
Go down here to one little section that you read it and interpret it for me. Got it highlighted there.
Yep. Paragraph 2, protection of persons and property, equal protection, protection to person and property in the paramount duty of the government shall be impartial and complete. No person shall be denied the equal protection of the laws. Well, I don't understand the question. I don't.
Interpret that for me. What's that saying about government? What's my I mean, I'm interpreting like, it's government's responsibility to protect me, not my responsibility to protect myself.
Well, it's under the rights of persons. Section 1, rights of person. Paragraph 1 says life, liberty, and property. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property by due process of the law. And then it goes down to paragraph 2, protection of persons and property, equal protections of persons and property. Duty is the paramount duty of the government and shall be impartial and complete. No person shall. I think it's saying that the government can't be impartial to deprive you of any of your protection of property and persons, because it's under the rights of a person, section 1. And since those are subparagraphs of section 1 under rights of person, it's not saying rights of government. I think that's more saying government shall be impartial and shall not, deny any person's equal protection.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I mean, like you guys could, shoot a person in the dark if he's stealing, $1,000 bicycle, because you fear your life.
Right.
But here, I was interpreting it as if, if somebody was out there and if somebody came into my house and say took a $5,000 TV, I'm supposed to let him just walk out the door with it,
Well, once somebody enters the house, that's automatically considered, makes them an aggressor in most states, because you have the castle doctrine, and most states kind of agree that if somebody enters, it's presumed they're going to do damage. You don't have to prove they were a threat. It's presumed they were a threat because they entered your house. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, looks like the TV was sitting on the porch. I hadn't got it in yet.
Okay.
Or valuable item of any kind, diamond ring, who knows. But anyways, it's like it's up to the government to, hey, that got stolen from me, or whatever, and here's a description of the person. He's gone now, or she's gone,
Oh, shit. I tried to remove your screen, guy, and it kicked you and the screen. It also kicked my next guy. Who was my next guy sitting there? I had his picture up there. He disappeared. What happened to the guy that was, well, it looks like the phone lines are open. And I'll go to the comments. Hell, I've been doing this for 2 hours, 45 minutes. I got to go eat lunch. It's 1:45. Hell, nobody's waiting to get in. We'll end that here. Hey, I hope everybody enjoyed this, and we'll go ahead and end this. I have 379 people, and we've been doing this for 2 hours, 49 minutes. I thought it was pretty interesting. I really like my JP from the UK guy. He'll be back here next Sunday for the why he thinks all guns should be banned debate. That should be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So y'all have a good one. It's 2:45 in Pennsylvania, and it's 1:45 here in Texas. So, all righty. We're going to end that there. Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great day. It's Sunday, and I'm going to go have lunch. Y'all have a good one.